Chapter 489. Chapter 489. TWR pacifying the disturbance. After laughing out loud, Ouyang-Ba took the lead and walked into the copper palace that welcomed the guests. Looking at Ouyang-Ba's back, Ningyu frowned, not knowing what he was up to. Humph. Beside him, Ouyang-Hai fiercely glared at Ningyu and Fengzi, before following behind Ouyang-Ba toward the copper palace. Tai Sheng and Bao Ming followed Ouyang-Hai closely, one on the left and one on the right. Tai Sheng and Bao Ming still remembered the fear of being dominated by Fengzi. Let them stay here? What a joke, they wanted to live longer. Ningyu, are we going in? Fengzi asked after Ouyang-Hai and the others disappeared from his sight. Ningyu pondered for a while, then said, "Go in and listen to my instructions later. Don't act recklessly without my permission." As he spoke, Ningyu glanced at Li Tongtian, then walked into the welcoming copper hall. However, Ningyu paused for a while beside Lu Wei, then said in a low voice beside Lu Wei's ear, "If there's any danger, go into the storage ring immediately." After saying this, Ningyu didn't hesitate any longer and strode into the copper hall that welcomed guests. Ningyu has advanced to the peak of the true martial realm. It seems like the 1 day and night of cultivation in Ice Mansion helped him a lot. Li Tongtian fixed his eyes on Ningyu with a solemn expression. In fact, when Ningyu appeared, Li Tongtian was surprised, because he found out that Ningyu had advanced to the peak of the true martial realm. During the 1 day and night of cultivation in Ice Mansion, Li Tongtian only stabilized his cultivation and did not even advance to the half-step yin-yang realm. On the other hand, Ningyu had advanced to the peak of the true martial realm. How could he not be surprised? This time, Ouyang-Ba is hosting another banquet, he will definitely show his fox tail. I have to be careful. Li Tongtian didn't linger for too long in front of the copper hall. He quickly entered the hall. At the moment, a huge rectangular table was placed in the copper palace, with Ouyang-Ba sitting at the head of the table. Ouyang-Hai naturally sat on the second seat on the left of Ouyang-Ba. As for Ningyu, he hesitated for a moment before sitting at the end of the table. "Ningyu, come and sit here." However, as soon as Ningyu sat down, Ouyang-Ba pointed at the first seat on his left and said with a smile, "You're the star of this banquet, how can you be so far away from me?" Whoosh. As soon as the words left Ouyang-Ba's mouth, Ouyang-Hai's expression changed tremendously, turning slightly pale. Ouyang-Hai was very clear about the weight of the first seat on the left of Ouyang-Ba. In the past, Ouyang-Ba had invited the young experts of the capital to a banquet, but the first seat on his left had always been empty. In Ouyang-Ba's words, those who couldn't match up to his younger self were not worthy to sit in that seat. Now that Ouyang-Ba had asked Ningyu to sit there, doesn't that mean that Ningyu is on par with him when he was younger? Upon having this thought, Ouyang-Hai could not help but gasp. Ouyang-Ba was extremely powerful when he was younger, and was known as the ruler of the younger generation of the Great Xia Kingdom. No one in the same generation could match him. Ningyu can't be allowed to live. Ouyang-Hai clenched his fists tightly, as an evil thought arose in his mind. After the banquet, he would hire someone to kill Ningyu with a huge sum of money, to get rid of his greatest threat. Li Tongtian, don't just stand there, come and sit here. Following this, Ouyang-Ba pointed at the first seat on his right and said with a smile when he saw Li Tongtian who had just entered the hall, "I'll do as you say." Ningyu did not hesitate and immediately sat on the first seat on Ouyang-Ba's left, sitting right next to Ouyang-Hai. Seeing that Ningyu had sat down, Li Tongtian no longer had any reservations and sat on the first seat on Ouyang-Ba's right. Behind Li Tongtian, Fengzi and Lu Wei sat down too. Cough cough, I don't want to say too much. The reason why I've gathered all of you here is because I have something important to announce. After everyone had taken their seats, Ouyang-Ba let out a dry cough and said, "West Mountain City is in chaos and I've decided to send Haya to quell it." As I thought, Ouyang-Hai's expression changed slightly. Even though he had heard the news before, his heart still skipped a beat. Shishan City was an extremely chaotic place. The powers within were complicated, and even a few of the powerful families in the capital were involved in it. Quell the chaos in West Mountain City? Not to mention sending Ouyang-Hai, even if they sent a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist over, they wouldn't dare to say that they would be able to quell the unrest. Although Ouyang Hai was unwilling, he still stood up from his seat and said in a deep voice, "Father, I'll do my best." Of course, it's just that. Ouyang Ba waved his hand, before his gaze slowly swept across the crowd, before finally stopping at Ningyu. West Mountain City is rather chaotic. With your strength, it will be hard to quell the chaos. Therefore, I've found you another helper. After a slight pause, Ouyang Ba continued, "Ningyu, a few bandits have appeared in West Mountain City. Why don't you go with Hai-er?" The fox's tail is finally showing. Ningyu's eyes narrowed as his heart was in turmoil. Ningyu had heard of West Mountain City before. It was the most remote city in the Great Xia Kingdom and was extremely far away from the capital. Throughout the dynasties, West Mountain City had always been the destination of some frustrated princes. At the same time, West Mountain City was also the most chaotic place. The forces there were complicated, and if one wasn't strong enough, going there would be no difference from suicide. There was once an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist who went to West Mountain City. On the second day, everyone found him hanging on the city wall with his head chopped off. Since then, West Mountain City had become a place of exile. Your Majesty, I have yet to report to Danwu College after returning to the capital. How about we talk about West Mountain City after I come out from Danwu College? Ningyu said after a slight hesitation. Dong, dong, dong. As soon as Ningyu finished his words, Ouyang Ba did not reply immediately. Instead, he reached out his finger and gently knocked on the table. The rhythm of Ouyang Ba knocking on the table was very slow, so slow that it was maddening. In the main hall, Ouyang Hai and the others held their breaths and did not even dare to breathe loudly. On the other hand, Ningyu remained expressionless as he sat on the chair and waited quietly. It's not impossible to talk about it after you come out from Danwu College. After a full 3 minutes, Ouyang Ba finally spoke. The matter in West Mountain City is rather urgent. We can't delay it any longer. How about this? Let Hai-er and Lu Wei go there first. As for you, you can stay in the capital for a period of time. It won't be too late to go there after you're done with your work. Swish. As soon as Ouyang Ba finished his words, Ningyu's expression turned completely gloomy. Let Lu Wei and the others go to West Mountain City with Ouyang Hai? This was no different from sending Lu Wei to her death. Chapter 490. Squinting eyes. Your Majesty, Lu Wei's cultivation is too weak. She won't be of much help in West Mountain City. Why don't? Ningyu rose from his chair and suggested as soon as Ouyang Ba finished his sentence. West Mountain City was a chaotic place. Even if Ningyu were to head there, he would not be able to guarantee his survival, let alone Lu Wei, who had a low cultivation base. In other words, if Lu Wei were to head to West Mountain City, she would be killed within a day. Ningyu, I know you're concerned about Lu Wei's safety, but I can tell you one thing. Ouyang Ba waved his hand and interrupted Ningyu's words. With Hai-er around, Lu Wei won't be in danger. He, Ningyu, don't worry. Leave the important task of taking care of Lu Wei to me. At that instant, Ouyang Hai said with a sinister smile, when you head to West Mountain City, I'll give you a complete Lu Wei. You. Fengzi clenched his teeth furiously after hearing Ouyang Hai's words. He immediately stood up from his chair. However, just as Fengzi was about to lose his temper, Ningyu glared at him. Fengzi instantly quietened down after being glared at by Ningyu and sat down unwillingly. Your Majesty, is there no room for negotiation? Ningyu turned to Ouyang Ba and said in a deep voice. There's room for negotiation, but I'm afraid you won't agree to it. Ouyang Ba slammed his palm on the table again and said. Tell me about it. Now that things had come to this, Ningyu had no choice but to take the risk. After all, asking Lu Wei to head to West Mountain City was no different than sending her to her death. Like I said before, you and Hai-er will head to West Mountain City together. Ouyang Ba shrugged and said. When will you be back from West Mountain City? Ningyu asked with a frown. That's hard to say. As long as you can quell the unrest in West Mountain City, you can immediately return. The meaning behind Ouyang Ba's words was very clear. As long as the chaos in West Mountain City was not settled, they would not be allowed to return to the capital. When are we leaving? Ningyu asked again. Let's go now, Ouyang-ba said in a cold voice, leaving no room for negotiation. As he spoke, Ouyang-ba rose from his chair and waved his hand, causing the surrounding space to crack. Shio. Then, a figure appeared. Elder Tan. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, Ningyu's expression was a little ugly. The reason why Ouyang-ba called Old Man Tan out was obvious. It was to ensure that Old Man Tan could follow Ouyang-hai to the West Mountain City. Old Tan, have you prepared the things I asked you to prepare? Ouyang-ba asked when he saw Old Tan. I'm ready. Elder Tan reached into his pocket and took out 2 white pills. After receiving the white pills from Old Tan's hand, Ouyang-ba flicked his wrist and threw one toward Ningyu and the other toward Ouyang-hai. Slap. Ningyu glanced at them and reached out his hand, grabbing the pills firmly. This is the origin chasing pill. Ningyu's face turned ugly to the extreme when he sensed the smell coming from the pill in his hand. The origin chasing pill was a peak 5th grade pill. Although the origin chasing pill was only a 5th grade pill, its effect was quite unique. Once it was swallowed, it would leave a unique smell on one's body. With the help of the unique smell and a secret technique, one could easily find him. That's right, it's the origin chasing pill. Ouyang-ba did not deny it, but explained, West Mountain City is very dangerous. To ensure your and Hai's safety, I've asked someone to refine 2 origin chasing pills. Consume the origin chasing pill. No matter where you and Hai are in West Mountain City, I'll send someone to find you. Thank you, father. Ouyang-hai did not hesitate and immediately swallowed the origin chasing pill. At the same time, he stared at Ningyu provocatively. Catcher. Ningyu was too lazy to care about Ouyang-hai. He tossed the origin chasing pill into his mouth and chewed it. Good, very good. Seeing Ningyu swallow the origin chasing pill, Ouyang-ba nodded and said, let's not waste any more time. Ningyu, set off with Hai now. Upon saying this, Ouyang-ba paused for a moment before he continued, the journey to West Mountain City is long, and there's a high chance that you'll encounter danger along the way. I'll ask Old Tan to go with you so that you can look after each other. Emperor, before we go to West Mountain City, I hope to send Lu Wei to Danwu College. Ningyu hesitated for a moment before he said, the country hasn't been very peaceful lately. I'm afraid that Lu Wei might be in danger. You don't have to worry about Lu Wei anymore. With Fengzi around, what's there to worry about? Ouyang-ba obviously did not want Ningyu to have any contact with Danwu College. He said, even if you think that Fengzi is weak, there's still Li Tongtian. If the 2 of them join forces, I'm afraid even a yin-yang state martial artist would have to give up. This is not negotiable. I must send Lu Wei to Danwu College personally, Ningyu said in a deep voice, his tone unquestionable. Although Ouyang-ba was putting it nicely, Ningyu knew that he was only saying one thing in front of Ningyu and another behind his back. Since he had invited Lu Wei here, he must be up to no good. If Lu Wei was trapped in the palace after he left, wouldn't he have no tears to shed? Ningyu, how can you talk to father like that? However, before Ouyang-ba could speak, Ouyang-hai harumphed, I advise you to apologize to father, or else, it's fine, I know Ningyu cares about Lu Wei. Ouyang-ba interrupted Ouyang-hai and said, I allow Ningyu to send Lu Wei to Danwu College. Are you serious? Ningyu raised his eyebrows, feeling that something was not right. Yes, Ouyang-ba said. Let's go. After receiving Ouyang-ba's confirmation, Ningyu immediately left his seat and went to Lu Wei's side. Ningyu grabbed Lu Wei's hand and left the hall in a flash. Fengzi quickly followed behind Ningyu. Your Majesty, farewell. As for Li Tongtian, he bid farewell to Ouyang-ba in a hurry and chased after Ningyu. Seeing that Ningyu and the rest had left the hall, Ouyang-hai was stunned and did not move an inch. What are you waiting for? Once Ningyu sends Lu Wei to Danwu College, you'll head to West Mountain City with him, Ouyang-ba said coldly when he saw Ouyang-hai's stunned expression. Yes, I'll go now. Hearing Ouyang-ba's scolding, Ouyang-hai immediately left the hall. Old Tan had already received Ouyang-ba's order. He followed Ouyang Hai closely after he left the hall. The initially noisy hall became quiet again after Ningyu and the rest left. Thump, thump, thump. When everything quietened down, Ouyang Ba knocked on the table out of habit again. Buzz buzz. Soon, a crack appeared in the space beside Ouyang Ba and an old man appeared. Evil Eye, we can't let Ningyu and the rest enter Danwu College no matter what. Chapter 491. Chapter 491 OF Defy block the way understood. The old man called Evil Eye replied. Then, his body gradually fused with the void, disappearing in an instant. Dong, dong, dong. After the Evil Eye left, Ouyang Ba knocked on the table again. However, this time, Ouyang Ba wore an evil grin on his face as if he had everything planned out. Whoosh. Meanwhile, Ningyu and Lu Wei had already left the palace. It was not easy to bring Lu Wei out of the imperial palace. Ningyu would not allow her to be brought back again. Therefore, as soon as they left the palace, Ningyu brought Lu Wei with him and rushed to Danwu College. As for Li Tongtian and Feng Zi, they followed closely behind at an extremely fast speed. Damn it! Seeing Ningyu and the others speed up, the third prince was very angry. He was only at the pinnacle of the true martial realm and his speed was naturally slower than Ningyu, Li Tongtian and the rest. Third prince, in my opinion, why don't we do this? Tai Sheng knew that Ouyang Hai was furious, so he quietly whispered something in his ear. Amazing, truly amazing. Upon hearing Tai Sheng's words, Ouyang Hai raised his eyebrows and revealed an evil smile. Haha, you flatter me, you flatter me. Tai Sheng smiled and said proudly after receiving Ouyang Hai's praise. Tai Sheng had been holding a grudge ever since Feng Xiao slapped him a few times. However, Tai Sheng was not stupid. He knew that he was no match for Feng Zi. If he attacked rashly, he would only die. Now that the opportunity had come, he naturally would not miss it. Humph! What are you standing there for? And he's still laughing like an idiot. Before Tai Sheng's laughter died away, Ouyang Hai coldly snorted and said, hurry up and get ready. If Ningyu enters Danwu College, I'll make sure you suffer the consequences. Yes, I'll go prepare now. After being berated by Ouyang Hai, Tai Sheng did not even dare to let out a fart. He quickly turned around and left. You're also staying here like an idiot. Do you want me to personally send you off? Tai Sheng's departure did not quell the anger in Ouyang Hai's heart. He pointed the spearhead at Bao Ming. Your Highness, I can walk by myself. Bao Ming knew that Ouyang Hai was like a barrel of dynamite that could explode at the slightest touch. Therefore, he did not hesitate and hurriedly chased after Tai Sheng. Trash, 2 pieces of trash indeed. Even though Tai Sheng and Bao Ming had left, Ouyang Hai's anger was not completely appeased. Instead, it made him even angrier. Not good. Suddenly, Ouyang Hai's expression changed. He shifted his gaze and looked at Ningyu. Ouyang Hai was shocked by what he saw. Ningyu was nowhere to be seen in front of him. Not even a strand of hair was seen. Helpless, Ouyang Hai could only chase after Ningyu like a headless fly. I've finally gotten rid of Ouyang Hai. It wasn't easy. On a certain street in the capital, Feng Zi turned his head to take a look before letting out a long sigh. He said, if we rush at full speed, we'll only need 15 minutes at most to reach Danwu College. I'm afraid it's not practical to rush at full speed. Beside him, Ningyu frowned. This is the capital and there are many pedestrians. If we rush at full speed, we'll inevitably attract attention. It'll be troublesome if Ouyang Hai catches up to us. Ningyu, I know of a small path that leads straight to Danwu College. Just then, Li Tongtian took a step forward and said in a low voice, we'll only need 10 minutes to reach Danwu College from that small path. There's a small path. Ningyu frowned slightly and asked in confusion. Of course. If you trust me, follow me. Li Tongtian nodded and said. Ningyu thought for a moment and said, let's not waste any more time. Lead the way. With Ouyang Hai's speed, he would probably reach Danwu College in 15 minutes. In other words, if Ningyu wanted to enter Danwu College, he had to arrive before Ouyang Hai for there to be a chance. Otherwise, with Ouyang Hai blocking the entrance of Danwu College, Ningyu would not be able to force his way in. Let's go. Seeing that Ningyu did not reject him, Li Tongtian let out a low roar and immediately took off from the ground, heading in the direction of Danwu College. 5 minutes was too important to Ningyu. With these 5 minutes, Ningyu could enter Danwu College and make proper arrangements. At the very least, he had to find the dean of the Sacred Institute and entrust Lu Wei to him. Swoosh. Li Tongtian was indeed capable. He led Ningyu and the rest around the capital, whether it was the open path or the hidden path. As time passed, they were getting closer and closer to Danwu College. Based on their speed, it would only take 7 to 8 minutes for Ningyu and the rest to reach Danwu College. Buzz. However, just as Ningyu and the rest turned into an alley, the space in front of them was torn apart. Then, an old man slowly walked out. Gasp. Feeling the strong aura emanating from the old man, Ningyu could not help but gasp. At the same time, his face darkened. The old man's eyes were filled with evil. This evil aura was so strong that it made Ningyu feel extremely uncomfortable. Evil eye. Ningyu moved and stood in front of Lu Wei. The old man's eyes were special. They were the 1 in a million evil eye. If ordinary martial artists were to be stared at by him, they would most likely go crazy. Not only does he have the evil eye, but his cultivation is also at the pinnacle of the intermediate yin-yang realm. Ningyu clenched his fists tightly, his face grim. He was not here with good intentions. This old man was definitely not here with good intentions. Ningyu did not think that a martial artist who had the evil eye and was at the pinnacle of the intermediate yin-yang realm would want to be friends with him. Hand over the woman, and I will let you go. The old man did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Don't even think about resisting. You will not be able to bear the consequences of resisting. Also, I am not an unreasonable person. I will give you 3 seconds to think about it. After 3 seconds, I want a definite answer. 1, 2, 3. Time's up. The old man extended his right index finger, middle finger, and ring finger. He said coldly, "Tell me, are you going to hand her over, or do I have to use force?" Ningyu did not expect the old man to be so shameless. It was not 3 seconds. It was not even a second. However, Ningyu was firm from the beginning. He would not hand over Lu Wei. If you want to fight, then fight. Cut the crap. Ningyu waved his hand and took out the soul-breaking sword. He said, "I, Ningyu, am not one to be scared. If you want to defeat me, you will have to pay a price." Sigh, young people these days are so arrogant. The evil-eyed elder softly sighed and changed the topic. "I'll give you a chance. As long as you hand over that woman, shut up." Before the old man could finish his sentence, Ningyu rose from the ground with the soul-breaking sword in his hand and charged at the old man. Since he was going to fight, what was the point of talking? Chapter 492. Chapter 492, Reversal. Hehe, I have to say, you're really arrogant. Looking at Ningyu who was approaching him, the devil-eyed old man's lips curled up into a sinister smile. In his eyes, Ningyu was only a peak true martial realm martial artist, thus he was no match for him. "I was planning to play with you, but I have something important to do, so I won't be accompanying you this time." The devil-eyed old man performed a hand seal with both of his hands and instantly launched a palm print. Not only was the palm print powerful, but it was also incredibly fast. In the blink of an eye, the palm print arrived in front of Ningyu and slammed onto Ningyu's head. Solitaire. At the crucial moment, Ningyu quickly waved the soul-breaking sword in his hand and instantly unleashed a sword wave. The sword wave and the devil-eyed old man's palm print collided with each other. Kai kai. As the palm print and the sword wave collided, only a crisp sound was heard, before both the sword wave and the palm print dissipated into thin air. Seeing that his palm print had dissipated, the devil-eyed old man raised his eyebrows and was slightly surprised. Although he had only used 50% of his strength, he had killed a half-step yin-yang realm martial artist with 50% of his strength. The fact that Ningyu was able to block his palm strike was enough to prove that Ningyu was very powerful. "It seems like I've underestimated you." The devil-eyed old man's face turned solemn as he shouted in a deep voice, "Next, I'll show you what a real intermediate yin-yang realm martial artist looks like. Whoosh. As soon as he finished his words, the aura of the devil-eyed old man skyrocketed, suppressing Ningyu with a powerful aura. The devil-eyed old man's plan was simple, to overwhelm Ningyu with his aura and bring Lu Wei away without any bloodshed. Although Ouyang-Ba did not say it out loud, the devil-eyed old man clearly knew that Ouyang-Ba did not want Ningyu to be injured. Ouyang-Ba's purpose was very clear, he only wanted him to bring Lu Wei back to the imperial palace. As for Ningyu, with the third prince and Elder Tan around, there shouldn't be any problems. You want to suppress me with your aura? How could it be so easy? Ever since his cultivation had advanced to the peak of the true martial realm and the strength of his soul force had advanced to the peak of 5th grade, Ningyu was least afraid of imposing aura oppression. Unless it was an extremely powerful martial artist, it would be very difficult for anyone to overwhelm him in terms of aura. Even the evil-eyed elder, who had reached the peak of the yin-yang realm, couldn't do it. Li Tongtian, you and Fengzi bring Lu Wei to Danwu College first. I'll stop this old man. Ningyu growled at Li Tongtian as he withstood the pressure of the evil-eyed elder's aura. Be careful. Although Li Tongtian's cultivation was at the peak of the primal core realm, he was very clear of his own strength. He could still hold his own against martial artists who were half a step into the yin-yang realm or had just advanced to the early yin-yang realm. However, if he were to face a martial artist at the mid-yin-yang realm, only death would await him. He wouldn't even have the chance to escape. After agreeing to Ningyu, Li Tongtian grabbed Lu Wei and rushed towards Danwu College. Let go of me. However, Lu Wei suddenly broke free from Li Tongtian's grasp and said in a low voice, at a time like this, you should be fighting alongside Ningyu, not choosing to run away. That sounds nice, but that evil-eyed martial artist is a martial artist at the peak of the mid-yin-yang realm. If Li Tongtian and I go up, we'll only add to his troubles. We won't be of any help at all. Fengzi couldn't help but grumble. Are you just going to leave Ningyu like this? Lu Wei continued to berate. Go. After being berated by Lu Wei, Li Tongtian and Fengzi's expressions turned ugly. Lu Wei was right. If they left Ningyu to fight alone, they would definitely feel bad. Even if he died, he would still be a good man after 18 years. Swish. Swish. The next moment, Fengzi and Li Tongtian formed a seal with both hands and instantly joined the battle. Damn it, who asked you to come here? Seeing Fengzi and Li Tongtian come over, Ningyu was so angry that his face turned green. Originally, the evil-eyed elder had only used his aura to suppress them, which was not enough to do anything to him. Now that Fengzi and Li Tongtian had joined the battle, the situation changed in an instant. The evil-eyed elder retracted his aura and launched a frenzied attack. With the evil-eyed elder's cultivation at the peak of the mid-yin-yang realm and his pair of evil eyes, even 3 early yin-yang realm martial artists would have to retreat, not to mention Li Tongtian, who was only at the peak of the primal core realm among Ningyu's group. Hearing Ningyu's words, Fengzi and Li Tongtian wanted to reply, but they quickly retreated, having no choice but to deal with the powerful attacks from the evil-eyed elder. The evil-eyed elder was indeed heaven-defying, able to fight 1 against 3 with ease. However, every time the evil-eyed elder wanted to avoid Ningyu and the rest to capture Lu Wei, Ningyu would always be able to cut him off with a sword wave in time, blocking his path. Then, Fengzi and Li Tongtian would launch a powerful attack on him as if they had gone mad. Although Fengzi and Li Tongtian were not able to hurt the evil-eyed elder, their harassment really infuriated the evil-eyed elder. You forced me to do this. After enduring for 3 to 4 minutes, the evil-eyed elder finally could not take it anymore. First, he forced Ningyu to retreat, then his body shot forward, appearing in front of Fengzi and Li Tongtian in an instant. Thump. Thump. 2 crisp sounds rang out consecutively. Fengzi and Li Tongtian were like kites with their strings cut, their bodies falling backward. Fart. Fart. The evil-eyed elder was indeed frightened by Fengzi and Li Tongtian. He had used a full 30% of his strength, causing Fengzi and Li Tongtian to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood, their auras extremely weak. Ningyu, I'll give you one last chance. The evil-eyed elder said to Ningyu after forcing Fengzi and Li Tongtian back with one move. No need, I don't need you to give me a chance. At this time, Ning Yu instead calmed down. He waved his hand and interrupted the evil-eyed elder, saying, I have a question to ask you. Oh my, you still want to ask me a question? The evil-eyed elder's eyes widened, as if he had heard something unbelievable. Are you sent by His Majesty? After saying this, Ning Yu stared straight into the evil-eyed elder's eyes, hoping to discover some clues. Unfortunately, the evil-eyed elder's face was as calm as an ancient well, without the slightest change. Is it important who sent me? The evil-eyed elder asked calmly. He, it's important, very important. Ning Yu smiled slightly and said, if you were sent by the emperor, I might have spared your life. If you weren't sent by the emperor, then you might die here with a grievance today. Die here with a grievance? The evil-eyed elder pointed at his own nose, then laughed loudly, F***CKU, a martial artist at the pinnacle of the true martial realm. What? However, the evil-eyed elder's laughter very quickly came to an abrupt halt. Because he realized that the space around Ning Yu had suddenly broken apart into a tiny crack. Crack. Chapter 493. Chapter 493, Death to Sea's Yin-Yang Realm. Peak late stage. When the evil-eyed old man saw the cultivator beside Ning Yu, he gaped in disbelief. Although the cultivators beside Ning Yu had deliberately concealed their cultivation, the evil-eyed old man's evil eyes were not for show. He easily discovered the cultivation of the cultivators beside Ning Yu. Peak late Yin-Yang Realm. It was even a level higher than him. Since when did Ning Yu have such an expert by his side? Could he be from Danwu College? Thinking of this, the evil-eyed old man's expression turned ugly. He asked in a deep voice, May I ask if you're from Danwu College? You still haven't answered my question. Were you sent by the emperor? The peak late-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist didn't answer the evil-eyed old man's question. Instead, Ning Yu said faintly, If you are, I can spare your life. If not, you will probably be in some trouble. Humph. If I want to leave, a mere late-stage Yin-Yang Realm cultivator won't be able to stop me. The evil-eyed old man snorted coldly before leaping up, intending to leave this area. Bang! However, as soon as the evil-eyed old man moved, the void beside him was torn apart. Then, a cultivator emerged and blocked his path. Middle Yin-Yang Realm. Looking at the cultivator in front of him, the evil-eyed old man's face instantly turned cold. His heart sank to rock bottom. He had a 50% chance of escaping from a peak late Yin-Yang Realm martial artist. However, if another Yin-Yang Realm martial artist appeared, his chances of escaping would drop to a freezing point. It would be almost impossible for him to escape. After all, the Yin-Yang Realm martial artist was very close to him. As long as he launched a powerful attack, he would have to fight back. Whoosh. Perhaps he had seen through the evil-eyed old man's thoughts. The middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist instantly launched a frenzied attack on the evil-eyed old man. Helpless, the evil-eyed old man could only accept the challenge. The evil-eyed old man was a peak middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist, so he naturally had the upper hand against a middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist. However, the evil-eyed old man was not in the mood to continue fighting. Right now, he only wanted to escape, so the two sides were evenly matched. No one could do anything to the other. Who are these two martial artists? Not far away, Li Tongtian stood up from the ground. Staring at the two Yin-Yang state martial artists who had suddenly appeared, he asked curiously, Why haven't I seen them before? I don't know him either. Fengzi also stood up. He shook his head and said, I've never seen them interact with Ning Yu before. Could they be from Danwu College? Impossible, they are definitely not from Danwu College, Li Tongtian refuted Fengzi's words. How did you know? You seem to know a lot about Danwu College. Fengzi frowned. Don't worry about it. Anyway, these two martial artists are not from Danwu College. Li Tongtian took a deep breath and said, from their performance, they seem to be obeying Ning Yu's orders. At this moment, Li Tongtian's heart was in turmoil. Ning Yu was only at the peak of the true martial realm, but the two martial artists who had appeared were both at the Yin-Yang realm. One of them was even at the peak of the late-stage Yin-Yang realm. But these two peak martial artists were actually very respectful to Ning Yu. Li Tongtian couldn't help but be suspicious. I don't care if they listen to Ningyu's orders or not. I only care about whether I can defeat the evil-eyed martial artist. Fengzi's focus was obviously on the evil-eyed martial artist. The evil-eyed martial artist had injured Fengzi, which made him angry out of humiliation. If the evil-eyed martial artist was defeated later, Fengzi would definitely go up and teach him a lesson. Alchemy Master, go and help Wang Heibo. Quickly defeat the evil-eyed old man. I still have use for him. Originally, Ningyu wanted to kill the evil-eyed old man. But considering that the evil-eyed old man was most likely a martial artist sent by the emperor, keeping him alive might have an unexpected effect. Therefore, Ningyu did not let the alchemy master kill the evil-eyed old man. Instead, he wanted him to capture the evil-eyed old man alive. Understood. Hearing Ningyu's instructions, the alchemy master rushed out and instantly joined the battle. Bam! With the addition of the alchemy master, the evil-eyed old man did not last long and was defeated. Swoosh! Then, the alchemy master grabbed the evil-eyed old man and threw him in front of Ningyu. I'll ask you one last time. Are you sent by the emperor? Ningyu crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at the evil-eyed old man. Now that things have come to this, what I say is useless. If you want to kill me, do as you please. The evil-eyed old man had some backbone and said coldly. Hehe, you don't want to say it. I have ways to make you say it. Ningyu smiled and immediately changed the topic. He said to the alchemy master, take good care of him. The inner demon pill was an extremely peculiar elixir. As time passed, its medicinal effect became more and more powerful. As for the alchemist hall master, he had swallowed a total of 2 inner demon pills. Although he had resisted Ningyu in the beginning due to his pride, he could not muster the slightest bit of resistance now. Once he wanted to resist Ningyu, he would suffer inhuman pain. The reason why Ningyu let the alchemy master out of the storage ring was firstly because the inner demon pill's medicinal effect was completely unleashed. Secondly, Zun Jianwen found the medicinal ingredients in the storage ring and refined the appearance change pill to change the appearance of the alchemy master and the others. Otherwise, Ningyu would definitely not let the alchemy master out of the storage ring. After all, the capital was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. If an expert were to pass by and discover the Yin Corpse sect's aura on the alchemy master, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yes. The alchemy master replied and immediately walked toward the evil-eyed old man step by step. Shoo. However, before the alchemy master could reach the evil-eyed old man, the latter's eyes suddenly widened and a wisp of gas shot out. The gas was black and about the size of a pinky finger. The black gas was extremely fast. It arrived in front of the alchemy master in almost an instant. You dare to use an eye technique in front of me? The alchemy master coldly snorted as he looked at the black gas. His eyes immediately turned cold and a wisp of gas shot out. However, the gas shot out from the alchemy master's eyes was green. Kai. The 2 wisps of gas collided and disappeared. Oh no, someone is coming. Alchemy master, quickly bring the evil-eyed old man into the storage ring. Just as the alchemy master was about to launch a second attack, Ningyu's words rang in his ears, causing him to be slightly taken aback. After a momentary daze, the hall master of the alchemy division grabbed hold of the evil-eyed elder. Then, under the astonished gazes of Li Tongtian and the others, he turned into a blur and entered Ningyu's storage ring. Shoo. On the other side, Wang Heibo did not hesitate either. He immediately moved his body and entered the storage ring like the alchemy master. Shoo. Shoo. Chapter 494. Leave. Ningyu, you really made it easy for me to find you. Ningyu was very familiar with the 2 martial artists who suddenly appeared. One was the 3rd prince, Ouyang Hai, and the other was Elder Tan, who was at the early stage of Yin-Yang realm. Ouyang Hai looked at Ningyu and smirked. Aren't you going to Danwu College? What are you doing here? Ningyu ignored Ouyang Hai and was more interested in Elder Tan. Not long ago, when Ningyu left the palace, Elder Tan and Ouyang Hai followed behind him. But after a period of time, Elder Tan disappeared into thin air and was nowhere to be seen. And now, Elder Tan's cultivation had reached the limit of early stage of yin-yang realm, and there were faint signs of him breaking through to middle stage of yin-yang realm. It could be said that if Elder Tan was willing, he could advance to middle stage yin-yang realm at any time. Ningyu, are you King listening to me? Seeing that Ningyu was ignoring him, Ouyang Hai was very angry and said furiously, I'm asking you, slap. However, before Ouyang Hai could finish his sentence, a figure flashed in front of him. A clear and melodious sound suddenly rang out in the area. Touching the bloodstains on his face, Ouyang Hai's mouth was slightly agape with a dumbfounded expression. On his face, there were 5 blood-colored marks, which were extremely dazzling. Ningyu, I want you dead. After a brief moment of shock, Ouyang Hai shouted like a madman, Elder Tan, quickly take action and take down Ningyu for me. I'm going to skin him alive and pull out his tendons. Third Prince, don't be impatient. Elder Tan did not take action immediately. Instead, he stood on the spot and said indifferently, my mission is to protect your safety. As for the conflict between you two, you can settle it yourselves. Are you kidding me? Hearing Elder Tan's words, Ouyang Hai opened his mouth again. But this time, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Ouyang Hai understood that it was almost impossible to get Old Tan to take action again. If he wanted to teach Ningyu a lesson, he could only rely on his own power. Ningyu, if there's nothing else, quickly send Lu Wei to Danwu College. Elder Tan ignored the third prince's gloomy expression and turned to Ningyu, saying, Shishan City has sent another urgent report, saying that the chaos has expanded once again. They want us to depart immediately. I know what I'm doing. Ningyu furrowed his brows and lightly said, give me 20 minutes. We'll meet at the city gate in 20 minutes. As he spoke, Ningyu grabbed Lu Wei and dashed out of the alley. Li Tongtian and Feng Zi followed closely behind, disappearing in an instant. Old Tan, is there really an urgent report from Western Mountain City? Ouyang Hai asked doubtfully when he saw that Ningyu and the others had disappeared. It's not an urgent report from Western Mountain City. It's news from His Majesty. Looking at the backs of Ningyu and the others, Old Tan lightly said, His Majesty's intentions are very clear. Ningyu will never enter Danwu College. Now, let's wait at the city gate. Ningyu will definitely appear in 20 minutes. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Old Tan took the lead and left. After Old Tan left, Ouyang Hai's lips curled up and he laughed sinisterly. It's not convenient for me to make a move in the capital. Once we leave the capital, I'll let you know why flowers are so red. With that, Ouyang Hai's figure flashed and he dashed towards the city gate of the capital. Swoosh. Swoosh. At the same time, Ningyu and Lu Wei were moving at a very fast speed, shuttling left and right in the capital. Not long after, Ningyu and the others stopped near the main entrance of Danwu College. Ningyu, I won't be going in. Li Tongtian waved his hand as if he did not want to enter Danwu College. I won't be going in either. Feng Zi, who was beside him, echoed, Li Tongtian and I will wait for you here. Wait for me for 20 minutes. Ningyu did not argue and directly led Lu Wei towards Danwu College. It was not until Ningyu and Lu Wei entered Danwu College that Li Tongtian murmured, I didn't expect Ningyu to be so strong. Originally, Li Tongtian thought that Ningyu's martial arts strength was on par with his. At best, Ningyu was only slightly stronger than him. After what happened in the alley earlier, Li Tongtian changed his view of Ningyu. Not only was he strong, but there were even stronger people who listened to his orders. In this world, there were many martial artists who were strong, but there were very few who could make people stronger than them listen to their orders. Now, Li Tongtian could basically conclude that Ningyu's backing was very strong, even comparable to his. Feng Zi, how much do you know about Ningyu? At the thought of this, Li Tongtian could not help but look at Feng Zi, hoping to learn more about Ningyu from him. Ningyu is a very scary person, Feng Zi said in a low voice. He has a lot of secrets. Take the storage ring on his wrist for example. I didn't know that there were 2 yin-yang realm martial artists in it until just now. Dharma treasures that can store living things are indeed very precious, Li Tongtian said. I advise you not to have any ideas about Ningyu. or you will end up in a terrible state. If Li Tongtian had not teamed up with him to fight against the evil-eyed elder, Fengzi would definitely not have warned Li Tongtian. After all, there were countless martial artists who had fallen in the hands of Ningyu. Fengzi did not want Li Tongtian to be one of them. I'm just asking. There are still 20 minutes. Let's wait here for Ningyu. Li Tongtian's heart skipped a beat, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he said, when Ningyu comes out from Danwu College, I want to go to West Mountain City with him. I will go too, Fengzi said in a low voice. Time flew. While Fengzi and Li Tongtian were talking, 20 minutes had passed. Swoosh. Suddenly, a figure flew out from Danwu College. This figure was none other than Ningyu. Let's go to the city gate. Ningyu paused for a second, then rose from the ground, turned into a shadow, and rushed towards the city gate. Li Tongtian and Fengzi looked at each other, then rushed out in unison, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Old Tan, 20 minutes have passed. Don't tell me Ningyu is not coming. At the city gate, the third prince, Ouyang Hai, was pacing back and forth, looking very anxious. Indeed, Ningyu said that he would be here in 20 minutes. 20 minutes had passed, but there was no sign of Ningyu. No wonder Ouyang Hai was so anxious. Bao Ming and Tai Sheng had already sent back news that everything had been arranged. If Ningyu did not come at this time, wouldn't his efforts be in vain? Don't worry, Ningyu will definitely come. Old Tan did not suspect Ningyu at all. He knew that Ningyu would definitely come. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Sure enough, just as Old Tan's voice faded, 3 figures shot out from the capital. Chapter 495. Spirit Fox. After leaving Danwu College, Ningyu, Li Tongtian, and the rest did not stop at all. They even increased their speed to the maximum, and very soon, they appeared at the city gates of the capital. Ningyu, you're finally here. As soon as Ningyu landed, Ouyang Hai stepped forward and said with a smile, I thought you weren't coming. I'm a man of my words. If I say I'll come, I'll definitely come. Ningyu glanced at Ouyang Hai and said faintly, unlike some people who act one way on the surface and another way behind their backs. You. Ouyang Hai couldn't help but clench his fists. However, this time, he restrained the anger in his heart and thought to himself, I'll let you show off a little longer. Once we're far from the capital, you'll see. Ningyu, there's no time to lose. Let's set off as soon as possible. Old Tan seemed to be used to the argument between Ouyang Hai and Ningyu as he waved his hand. Don't tell me we're just going to go over like this. Ningyu frowned and said in a low voice. West Mountain City was very far from the capital, and even with the support of an endless supply of vital energy, an early primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner would still need about 10 days to fly there. If he were to encounter danger on the way, the consequences would be unimaginable. Of course not. Before Elder Tan could speak, Ouyang Hai said coldly, West Mountain City borders the Lanqing nation. Let's go to Wu Tuo City first, and then ride a flying demon beast from there. We still have to go to Wu Tuo City. Ningyu's expression was a little cold. He didn't know what Ouyang Hai was trying to do. Logically speaking, the capital was much larger and more prosperous than West Mountain City. If the West Mountain City had flying demonic beasts, the capital would definitely have them too. Why did Ouyang Hai take the unnecessary step of riding a flying beast from Wu Tuo City? What, you don't dare? Ouyang Hai raised his eyebrows and said coldly, if you don't dare, just say it. I can use flying beasts from the capital. Why wouldn't I dare? Ningyu's principle of doing things was to deal with soldiers with arms and water with an earth weir. In the storage ring were the Pill Refinement Palace Lord, who was at the pinnacle of the Yin-Yang advanced stage, Wang Heibo, who was at the intermediate stage of the Yin-Yang stage, and even Ma Wei and 2 other martial artists at the initial stage of the Yin-Yang stage. With such a strong backup force, Ningyu was confident that he could escape even if a Yin-Yang realm pinnacle martial artist came. If Ouyang Hai dared to play any tricks, Ningyu wouldn't mind letting him suffer a little. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With that, Ningyu shot a look at Li Tongtian and Fengzi before his figure flashed and he dashed off into the distance. Third Prince, let's go. Seeing that Ningyu and the others had left, Old Tan also rose from the ground and turned into an after-image as he chased after them. Hihi, I've worn out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it effortlessly by chance. The corner of Ouyang Hai's mouth curled up. He laughed evilly for a while before speeding up with all his might. Whoosh. Ningyu's speed wasn't very fast. He kept a distance from Ouyang Hai, making it impossible for Ouyang Hai to catch up or fall down. Ningyu, I still feel that there's a problem. After flying for 2 to 4 hours, Li Tongtian frowned. It doesn't make sense that we have to pass through Wu Tuo City to go to West Mountain City. I also know that there's a problem. Ningyu said as he flew, in the face of absolute power, all schemes are futile. That's true. Li Tongtian nodded as he looked at the storage ring on Ningyu's wrist. The memory of the two powerful martial artists in the storage ring was still fresh in Li Tongtian's mind. If Ouyang Hai really dared to play any tricks, he would probably vomit blood in anger. Oh right, are we really going to West Mountain City? Suddenly, Li Tongtian seemed to have thought of something and said, it's the Alchemy Union's competition in a few days. If we leave now, we'll probably miss the competition. Let's go to West Mountain City and see what's going on. Ningyu knew that the competition was about to begin. Heading to West Mountain City now was truly a helpless move. However, Ningyu still wanted to say something, but his expression changed drastically and his legs stopped abruptly. Wait for it to settle down. Not good. Whoosh. Right then, a crack appeared in the space in front of Ningyu. Then, a few martial artists surged out from within. Hiss. Looking at the sudden appearance of these martial artists, even if Ningyu had a strong trump card, he could not help but gasp as his heart sank to the bottom. There weren't many martial artists surging out from the crack, only 5. However, among these 5 martial artists, the lowest cultivation was at early stage Yin-Yang realm. There was even a martial artist whose cultivation was at late stage Yin-Yang realm peak. A late stage Yin-Yang realm peak, 2 mid-stage and 2 early-stage Yin-Yang realm. Such a strong lineup was truly terrifying. Who are you? Behind Ningyu, Old Tan naturally noticed these martial artists as well. Relatively speaking, Old Tan's expression was much uglier. Ouyang Ba had instructed him to be responsible for the safety of Ningyu and the third prince, and to send them safely to West Mountain City. Now that 5 pinnacle martial artists had appeared out of nowhere, he felt somewhat helpless. Ningyu's safety was secondary. If the third prince Ouyang Hai was killed, even if he returned to the capital, Ouyang Ba would not let him off. Who we are is not important. What's important is that someone is willing to pay essence crystals to buy your lives. Among the 5 martial artists, a late-stage Yin-Yang realm peak laughed weirdly and said, 5 martial artists, 1 for each. That's fair. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Just as the late-stage Yin-Yang realm peak martial artist finished his sentence, the 4 martial artists beside him flashed and each found an opponent. 2 early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists faced off against Ningyu and the third prince respectively. 2 mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists faced off against Fengzi and Li Tongtian. As for the late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist, he stood in front of Old Tan and did not make a move immediately. Fut. The first to make a move was the martial artist facing off against Ouyang Hai. Ouyang Hai was only at the peak of the real martial realm, so naturally, he was no match for the early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist. The result was obvious. Ouyang Hai was punched in the chest by the early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist, and his body was sent flying. So weak. After defeating Ouyang Hai in one move, the early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist shrugged his shoulders and smiled. The rich man this time is really rich. He actually spent so many essence crystals to kill a few small fries. TSK. In this way, I can earn a lot of essence crystals with one move, and they are all supreme grade. Spirit Fox number 2, number 3, number 4, don't just stand there and do nothing. Hurry up and kill them. Seeing that Spirit Fox number 5 had succeeded, the late-stage Yin-Yang realm peak martial artist waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "Our Spirit Fox team never goes on a mission for more than an hour. This time is no exception." Understood. Spirit Fox number 2, number 3, and number 4 answered almost at the same time. Then, Spirit Fox number 4 rushed towards Ningyu. An early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, looking at the approaching Spirit Fox number 4, Ningyu took a deep breath and flipped his palm backward. Then, the soul-severing sword appeared in his hand. Against an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, Ningyu was not too afraid. Chapter 496. Let's attack too. Let's attack too. Seeing Spirit Fox number 4 make his move, Spirit Fox number 3 and Spirit Fox number 2 did not remain idle. They rose from the ground and charged towards Fengzi and Li Tongtian respectively. Spirit Fox number 3 and Spirit Fox number 2 were at the intermediate stage of the yin-yang realm and were extremely powerful. Li Tongtian and Fengzi were both at the Yuandan realm. How could they be a match for them? Bam! Bam! The result was obvious. Li Tongtian and Fengzi were both hit in the chest by the hard fists and fell backwards. Fart! Fart! 2 mouthfuls of fresh blood spurted from Li Tongtian and Fengzi's mouths. Li Tongtian was slightly better off. After all, he was at the peak of the Yuandan realm and was much stronger than Fengzi. Even so, Li Tongtian still felt a dull pain in his chest. As for Fengzi, it was much more serious. After the early Yuandan realm, Fengzi spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, his face turned pale and bloodless. TSK, I didn't expect an early Yuandan realm warrior to take a punch from me and not die. His vitality is indeed strong. Seeing that he did not kill Fengzi in one move, Spirit Fox number 3 smirked and said, I only used 20% of my strength in the first move. Next, I will use 50% of my strength. Swoosh. In the next moment, Spirit Fox number 3 leaped up and punched towards Fengzi's head with raging Yuan Qi. This punch of Spirit Fox number 3 was extremely powerful. If Fengzi was unlucky enough to be hit in the head, he would definitely die on the spot. Bam! In a flash, a figure appeared in front of Fengzi. A punch that could not be avoided collided with Spirit Fox number 3's fist. As the two fists collided, a clear sound resounded across the entire region. In the next instant, the two figures were pushed back. Ningyu. Fengzi had already lost all hope. When he saw Ningyu suddenly appear in front of him, his jaw dropped and his face was filled with disbelief. Wasn't Ningyu fighting with Spirit Fox number 4? Why did he have time to help him? As he thought about it, Fengzi could not help but shift his gaze to the other side. Hiss. Fengzi sucked in a breath of cold air. His mouth was so wide that a fist could fit in it. Not far away, Spirit Fox number 4 was lying on the ground. Her left hand was clutching her right hand, and her face was filled with pain. Ningyu defeated Spirit Fox number 4 so quickly. Fengzi knew that Ningyu was very strong. He knew that Ningyu would definitely be able to defeat the early stage Yin-Yang realm Spirit Fox 4. However, Fengzi did not expect Ningyu to defeat Spirit Fox number 4 so quickly. Furthermore, from Spirit Fox number 4's expression, it was clear that he was in extreme pain. Catcher. Spirit Fox number 4's miserable state naturally caused Spirit Fox number 1's expression to change drastically. In an instant, he arrived in front of Spirit Fox number 4. Immediately after, Spirit Fox No. 1 exerted some strength in his palm and reconnected Spirit Fox number 4's broken wrist. What the F***CK are you all standing there for? Attack quickly, don't leave a single one alive. Spirit Fox number 4's injury seemed to have angered Spirit Fox number 1. He began to give orders, leave this martial artist at the pinnacle of the real martial realm to me. The rest of the martial artists, attack together and kill them as soon as possible. Right. Remember not to underestimate anyone. In the end, Spirit Fox number 1 added, in this world, there will always be someone better than you. If you are careless, you will fail miserably. I do not wish for something like Spirit Fox number 4 to happen again. Let's go. Hearing Spirit Fox number 1's words, Ningyu immediately leaped up, grabbed Fengzi, and quickly flew into the distance. As for Li Tongtian, he used all his strength and even burned his Yuan Qi and soul power to follow closely behind Ningyu. Li Tongtian was not a fool. He knew that staying behind would only lead to death. Moreover, Ningyu did not seem to want to reveal his trump card here. He could only follow behind Ningyu with all his might. What are you waiting for? Do you want me to do it myself? Seeing Spirit Fox number 3 and Spirit Fox number 2 standing there in a daze, Spirit Fox number 1 flew into a rage and said, "If our Spirit Fox squad's record is broken here, you should be very clear about the consequences. Chase." Hearing Spirit Fox number 1's words, Spirit Fox number 3 and Spirit Fox number 2's expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly dashed out and chased after Ningyu and the others. Spirit Fox Squad. You are from the Assassination Pavilion. When Spirit Fox number 1 said that they were from the Spirit Fox Squad, Old Tan did not notice it. Now that he heard it for the second time, he immediately reacted. In the Assassination Pavilion, there were several strong squads. As the Spirit Fox Squad had a martial artist at the pinnacle of the late Yin-Yang realm, they could be ranked in the top 3 among the many squads in the Assassination Pavilion. Hehe, don't you think it's a little too late to react now? Spirit Fox number 1 smiled and said. It's not too late, not at all. Old Tan said in a deep voice, since you are from the Spirit Fox Squad, you should know who the pinnacle of the real martial realm martial artist was. To tell you the truth, he is the third prince. If you kill him here, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Even the Assassination Pavilion will be annihilated because of this matter. Huh? Do you think I'm scared? Spirit Fox number 1 raised his eyebrows and said coldly, Number 5, bring the so-called third prince here. Spirit Fox number 5 did not dare to delay and hurriedly carried Ouyang Hai over. Bang! Spirit Fox number 5 casually threw Ouyang Hai to the ground and took a step back. If I kill all of you here, who else can tell on me? Spirit Fox number 1 said sinisterly. Forget it. You are all going to die anyway. I won't talk nonsense with you. Spirit Fox number 1 shrugged and continued, I'll kill you now to prevent any more unforeseen events. Third Prince, hurry up and leave. I'll stop them. At this moment, Old Tan took a step forward and directly launched a powerful attack at Spirit Fox number 1. Although Old Tan was only at the early Yin-Yang realm, when he went crazy, his strength could not be underestimated. In addition, he could advance to the middle Yin-Yang realm at any time. Therefore, his attack caused quite a bit of trouble for Spirit Fox number 1. Swoosh! While Old Tan and Spirit Fox number 1 were fighting, Ouyang Hai seized the opportunity and quickly rushed out. However, the direction that Ouyang Hai rushed out was the direction that Ningyu had escaped to. Swoosh! Behind Ouyang Hai, Spirit Fox number 5's eyes turned cold as he chased after him. Poochie! Not long after Ouyang Hai disappeared, Spirit Fox number 1 found a flaw in Old Tan's defense and punched Old Tan's chest. The huge force coming from his chest caused Old Tan's expression to change drastically. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Spirit Fox number 4, you stay here and watch this old man. Wait for me to finish off the rest of the martial artists before we leave together. Chapter 497. Easy kill. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In a dense forest outside the capital city, several figures moved at lightning speed. Their toes tapped lightly on the treetops and they disappeared in an instant. There were 2 groups of figures. There were 3 in the front and 2 at the back. The figures in front were none other than Ningyu, Li Tongtian, and the rest. At this moment, Ningyu grabbed Feng Zi's arm tightly and pushed his speed to the limit. He turned into a shadow and disappeared in an instant. The 2 figures at the back were Spirit Foxes number 2 and number 3. After being scolded by Spirit Fox number 1, Spirit Fox number 2 and number 3 secretly made up their minds to capture Ningyu no matter what and grind his bones into ashes. Whoosh! However, after flying for a period of time, Ningyu actually stopped moving forward. Instead, he stopped. What's going on? Ningyu's sudden stop caused Spirit Fox number 2 and number 3 to be slightly startled. Their faces revealed a puzzled expression. Logically speaking, they were at the intermediate yin-yang state. No matter how strong Ningyu was, he was no match for them. Therefore, Ningyu's decision to stop now was most likely a trap. No matter what, in the face of absolute power, all schemes are useless. Although Spirit Fox number 2 guessed that Ningyu might be playing a trick, he did not take it to heart. Just as he had said, as long as one was strong, one would not be afraid of any schemes. Idiot. Hearing Spirit Fox number 2's words, Ningyu shrugged and spat out 2 words. Ningyu, who are you calling an idiot? Spirit Fox number 2 could not believe his ears. His eyes widened in shock. Whoever yells the loudest is an idiot. Ningyu said calmly. He did not take Spirit Fox number 2 seriously at all. Good, very good. Very good. At this moment, Spirit Fox number 2 calmed down. He was terrifyingly calm. He took a step forward and exerted the aura of the middle stage of Yin-Yang realm, suppressing Ningyu. Voila! Spirit Fox number 3 didn't stay idle either. He unleashed his Yin-Yang intermediate stage aura and worked with Spirit Fox number 2 to suppress Ningyu. In the eyes of Spirit Fox number 2 and Spirit Fox number 3, the martial art practitioner who posed the greatest threat to them was Ningyu. As long as they could get rid of Ning, the remaining Fengzi and Li Tongtian were nothing to be afraid of. Hee. Ningyu did not resist at all as he felt the powerful aura pressing down on him. Instead, he crossed his arms in front of him and said with a smile, "I really admire you. You can still smile in the face of death." Oh no. Seeing that Ningyu was not dodging and was even smiling foolishly, Spirit Fox number 2 could not help but smile. The Spirit Fox number 2 was halfway through its sentence when its pupils shrank. It could not help but retreat. Bang! Bang! However, the speed at which Spirit Fox number 2 retreated was clearly slower. Just as he moved his feet, a crack appeared in the space beside him. Immediately, a figure appeared from within. After this figure appeared, it clenched its fists and punched Spirit Fox number 2's chest fiercely under his horrified gaze. Without any suspense, Spirit Fox number 2's chest was hit by the 2 fists. His body flew several feet away before he could stabilize himself. Fart. After spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, Spirit Fox number 2's aura was slightly weak. Who are you? Seeing that Spirit Fox number 2 was defeated in one move, Spirit Fox number 3's expression turned extremely solemn. He shouted at the figure that suddenly appeared, "You will suffer for offending the Spirit Fox team." Spirit Fox number 3 was not stupid. In fact, he was very smart. He knew that he was no match for the martial art practitioner that suddenly appeared. Therefore, he wanted to delay for time and wait for Spirit Fox number 1 to arrive. Spirit Fox number 1 was the same as the martial art practitioner in front of him. They were both at the peak of the advanced yin-yang state. As long as Spirit Fox number 1 arrived, he would be able to kill Ningyu with his secret technique. Noisy. Go and kill this so-called Spirit Fox number 3. Ningyu could not be bothered with Spirit Fox number 3's scolding. He directly gave the order to the hall leader of the alchemy division. Immediately, Ningyu sent a voice transmission to Wang Heibo, who was in the storage ring. Wang Heibo, Spirit Fox number 2. Forget it. Leave Spirit Fox number 2 to me. Originally, Ningyu wanted to ask Wang Heibo to come out. However, when he remembered that Spirit Fox number 2 had been seriously injured by the hall leader of the alchemy division, he gave up on the idea. Ningyu alone was enough to deal with a seriously injured yin-yang state intermediate stage martial art practitioner. Solitaire. In the next moment, Ningyu grabbed the air with his right hand, and the soul-severing sword appeared in his hand. Immediately, Ningyu injected his primordial chi into the soul-severing sword. In an instant, a shocking sword wave appeared. Damn it! Although Spirit Fox number 2 was seriously injured, he still kept an eye on Ningyu. When Ningyu used the solitaire, Spirit Fox number 2's face darkened. He did not have time to think and immediately retreated. Spirit Fox number 2 was very clear that if he was hit by Ningyu's sword wave, he would be crippled even if he did not die. Right now, there was only one thing he could do: delay. If he delayed until Spirit Fox number 1 arrived, it would be the time of Ningyu's death. Revolving palm. How could Ningyu give Spirit Fox number 2 a chance? After he used the solitaire, he wrapped his soul power and primordial chi around his palm. Then, he stomped on the ground and dashed out. Whoosh! As soon as Ningyu dashed out, the solitaire arrived in front of Spirit Fox number 2. Fortunately, Spirit Fox number 2 dodged in time. Otherwise, This solitaire alone would be enough to kill him. Swoosh. However, before Spirit Fox number 2 could relax, he realized that Ningyu had already arrived in front of him. Then, a palm filled with violent primordial chi and terrifying soul power landed on his heart under his horrified gaze. Bang! Spirit Fox number 2 was already seriously injured by the Alchemist Hall Master. Now, he was hit by Ningyu's solitaire and revolving palm. In an instant, his aura dissipated. At this moment, Spirit Fox number 2 of the Spirit Fox team died on the spot. What? Just as the Spirit Fox number 2 was killed, two figures approached from afar and appeared in the area. Among the two figures, one was a martial artist at the peak of the real martial realm. His eyes were fixed on Spirit Fox number 2, who had died tragically on the ground. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The martial artist at the peak of the real martial realm was Ouyang Hai. He did not expect that Spirit Fox number 2, who was at the middle stage of the yin-yang realm, would be killed by Ningyu. Damn it. However, Ouyang Hai was shocked by what happened next. His eyes moved slightly. When he saw the figure fighting with Spirit Fox number 3, his eyes were filled with shock. Although Ouyang Hai's cultivation was only at the peak of the real martial realm, he could also see that the martial artist fighting with Spirit Fox number 3 was at the peak of the late stage of the yin-yang realm. Why did Ningyu have such a powerful martial artist by his side? Ouyang Hai, I knew that this matter was related to you. Chapter 498. Chapter 498 OFT PST Kill Ouyang Hai Humph. Nonsense. Hearing Ningyu's words, Ouyang Hai coldly snorted, I have no idea what you're talking about. Ouyang Hai, stop pretending. Just now, Spirit Fox number 2 had already explained everything. Li Tongtian took a step forward and said in a deep voice, you sent men to the Assassin Pavilion and spent transcendent-grade essence crystals to hire the Spirit Fox team, all for the sake of getting rid of us in one fell swoop. That's pure nonsense. Ouyang Hai berated. Li Tongtian, I have no enmity with you, why are you slandering me? Poochie. Suddenly, the Alchemist Hall Master grasped the opportunity and punched Spirit Fox number 3's heart. In an instant, Spirit Fox number 3's heart was pierced and he died on the spot. Whoosh. Spirit Fox 3's tragic death caused the expression of Spirit Fox 5, who had just arrived, to change drastically. His heart sank to the bottom. When he first arrived, Spirit Fox number 2 was killed by Ningyu. Now, Spirit Fox number 3 had been killed by a martial artist at the peak of the late-stage yin-yang realm. In just a few minutes, the Spirit Fox team had already lost 2 intermediate yin-yang state warriors. It could be imagined that the next martial artist to be killed would most likely be him. Spirit Fox number 5, I have a question for you. This is also your only chance of survival. After dealing with Spirit Fox number 2 and Spirit Fox number 3, Ningyu turned his attention to Spirit Fox number 5. He said calmly, did Ouyang Hai send you here? When we, the Spirit Fox team, take on missions, we never know who our employers are. Spirit Fox number 5 said coldly. Haha, you do have some pride. Ningyu raised his eyebrows and smiled. It's fine if you don't know who your employer is. I'll let you know. Immediately after, Ningyu gave the leader of the Hall of Alchemy a meaningful look. His meaning was clear. The Hall Master of the Alchemy Hall understood. His figure flashed and landed in front of Spirit Fox number 5. In the next moment, a huge spiritual pressure was unleashed from the Alchemist Hall Master's body, pressing down on Spirit Fox 5 without any fear. Not only had the Alchemist Hall Master's cultivation reached the pinnacle of the yin-yang realm, but his soul power was also incomparably powerful. Under the powerful soul pressure of the Alchemist Hall Master, it did not take long before Spirit Fox 5 could no longer hold on. Ningyu, I do not know who the employer is. However, I can tell you who issued the mission to the Assassin Pavilion. Spirit Fox number 5 shouted crazily. Let's hear it. Ningyu waved his hand, gesturing for the Hall Master to stop. Who? The spiritual soul suppression on Spirit Fox number 5's body disappeared. Spirit Fox number 5 panted heavily as if he had been granted amnesty. After a while, Spirit Fox number 5 said, there were 2 martial artists who issued the mission. One is called Bao Ming, and the other is Tai Sheng. Bao Ming and Tai Sheng? Ningyu was stunned for a moment before he turned to Ouyang Hai and said, "If I'm not wrong, Bao Ming and Tai Sheng are your dogs, right? I was wondering why they weren't by your side." So they went to the assassination pavilion to issue a mission. Ningyu, the ones who issued the mission were Bao Ming and Tai Sheng. "It has nothing to do with me." Ouyang Hai still refused to admit it. "Whether you admit it or not has nothing to do with me." Ningyu didn't care if Ouyang Hai admitted it or not. In his heart, Ouyang Hai was already a dead man. "Ningyu, I will go and get rid of Ouyang Hai." Fengzi had long disliked Ouyang Hai. Now that this was a chance, he naturally wanted to kill Ouyang Hai personally. However, Ningyu gestured for him to not be impatient. No matter what, Ouyang Hai is the third prince of the Great Xia Kingdom. It is not appropriate for us to do it personally. Ningyu muttered for a moment and said, "The important task of killing Ouyang Hai will be handed over to Spirit Fox number 5. Since Ouyang Hai was the one who invited the Spirit Fox team, it is considered a start and finish." Swish. Ouyang Hai wasn't a fool. When he saw that his plan was exposed, he immediately rose from the ground and flew far away. In fact, Ouyang Hai didn't hesitate to ignite his blood essence to increase his speed so that he could leave this place as soon as possible. Swish. But how could Ningyu allow Ouyang Hai to escape? Just as Ouyang Hai flew a few steps, Ningyu blocked in front of him and kicked him in front of Spirit Fox number 5. "Do it. I don't wish to hear this a second time." Looking at Spirit Fox number 5, Ningyu said, "Third Prince, I was forced by the situation." Spirit Fox number 5 knew that Ningyu was already infuriated. If he delayed any longer, he might also meet with misfortune. Thus, he gritted his teeth and clenched his right fist, smashing it towards Ouyang Hai's head. "Spirit Fox number 5, you dare to kill me." "Ah!" Looking at the expanding fist in his eyes, Ouyang Hai yelled in anger. Before Ouyang Hai could finish his roar, he let out a miserable shriek like a pig being slaughtered. Immediately, his body was sent flying. Until the last moment of his death, Ouyang Hai couldn't understand. Why did Ningyu have a martial artist at the peak of the advanced yin-yang realm by his side? Not good. Not far away, when Spirit Fox number 1 heard Ouyang Hai's miserable shriek, his expression turned ugly. Ouyang Hai was the Great Xia Kingdom's third prince. If he was killed here, it would more or less affect the assassination pavilion. Damn it. The only thing I can do now is to kill Elder Tan as well. As Spirit Fox number 1 flew at full speed, he used a secret technique to send a message to Spirit Fox number 4, asking him to kill Elder Tan. Elder Tan suddenly advanced to the middle stage of the yin-yang realm and severely injured me. He then rushed over to your side. Spirit Fox number 4 said anxiously. PFFF. When Spirit Fox number 1 heard the message from Spirit Fox number 4, he was instantly overwhelmed with anger and vomited a mouthful of fresh blood. Truly, when it rains, it pours. Everything seemed to have piled up at the same time. You recuperate first. Leave Elder Tan to me. Spirit Fox number 1 was indeed a martial artist at the peak of the advanced yin-yang realm. After a short moment of panic, he immediately calmed down. Without much time to think, he immediately increased his speed, hoping that he could stop Ouyang Hai from being killed in time. Ningyu, should we kill Spirit Fox number 5 as well? After Ouyang Hai was killed, Li Tongtian swiped his hand across his neck and made a killing gesture. Ningyu, you said that as long as I killed Ouyang Hai, you wouldn't kill me. Spirit Fox number 4 shouted, you can't go back on your word. I did say that I would spare your life. Ningyu frowned and said, I'm not a person who goes back on his words. How about this? At this point, Ningyu paused for a while and then said, I'll cripple your cultivation and spare your life. Swoosh. As Ningyu finished his words, the Alchemist Hall Master immediately moved and appeared in front of Spirit Fox number 5 in the blink of an eye. Spirit Fox number 5 was only at the early stage of the yin-yang realm. In front of the Alchemist Hall Master, who was at the peak of the advanced stage of the yin-yang realm, he had no chance of resisting. Very quickly, his cultivation was crippled. Ningyu, if you can't do it, I can do it for you. Fengzi seemed a little worried and said in a low voice, Leaving Spirit Fox number 5 behind will cause endless trouble in the future. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Ning Yu did not seem to take Feng Zi's worries to heart. Chapter 499. Communication paper. Since you're here, why hide? Come out. Whoosh. Just as Ning Yu finished his sentence, the space in front of him suddenly split open and a martial artist appeared. Spirit Fox number 1, Li Tongtian and Feng Zi shouted at the same time when they saw the martial artist who suddenly appeared. They could not help but lean towards Ning Yu. After all, Spirit Fox number 1 was a peak advanced yin-yang realm martial artist. Li Tongtian and Feng Zi would not be able to withstand a single blow from him. Moreover, Ning Yu had a peak advanced yin-yang realm martial artist by his side. Li Tongtian and Feng Zi felt safer. How did you discover me? Spirit Fox number 1 ignored Li Tongtian and Feng Zi and asked Ning Yu in a low voice. As a top assassin in the assassination pavilion, Spirit Fox number 1 was very proud of his concealment skills. He was so proud that he almost worshipped it. Actually, it was no wonder. Before he was discovered by Ning Yu, he had been hiding in the space for a long time. After hiding for so long, he was not discovered by the advanced yin-yang realm martial artist by Ning Yu's side. Instead, he was discovered by Ning Yu. How could Spirit Fox number 1 tolerate this? I didn't discover him. It was discovered by the person beside me. Ning Yu pointed at the alchemist hall master and said, actually, he discovered you when you first arrived. I just did not ask him to say it. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Spirit Fox number 1 snorted coldly. You killed Spirit Fox number 2 and Spirit Fox number 3. I can kill you 10 times over. But don't worry, I won't kill you. I will only capture you and make you suffer inhumane pain. Are you done? Ning Yu shrugged at Spirit Fox number 1's threat and said, if you are, let's fight. Swoosh. As soon as the word fight was said, Ning Yu rose from the ground and slashed with the soul-severing sword. In a split second, several shocking sword waves appeared and attacked the Spirit Fox number 1 at the same time. Insignificant skill. Spirit Fox number 1's eyes turned cold as he faced the numerous sword waves that were heading towards him. He waved his sleeves and several beams of cold light shot out. Kai kai kai. In the next moment, the cold light collided with the numerous sword ripples. As expected, the sword ripples dissipated into the surroundings. It seems that with my strength, I can only fight against a middle yin-yang stage martial artist at most. If I fight against a late yin-yang stage martial artist, I will only be killed. After one move, Ning Yu tactfully retreated several feet away. Ning Yu knew his limits. He knew that he could only fight against a martial artist at the pinnacle of the middle stage yin-yang realm. Facing a late stage yin-yang realm martial artist, only death awaited him. He wouldn't even have a chance to escape. Shio. Seeing Ning Yu retreat, the Spirit Fox stomped on the ground, wanting to chase after him. However, before the Spirit Fox one could move, a figure steadily landed in front of him. You better get out of my way, or I will kill you as well. Looking at the late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist in front of him, the Spirit Fox number 1's face darkened. He said in a low voice, I see that it was not easy for you to reach the late-stage yin-yang realm. I don't want to fight you. Die. Although he was controlled by Ning Yu's heart demon pill, the alchemy lord still had his own consciousness. He was already feeling aggrieved. Now that he heard Spirit Fox number 1's mockery, he could not take it anymore. After receiving Ning Yu's approval, the alchemy lord immediately rushed out and started fighting with the Spirit Fox number 1. Boom. The alchemy lord and Spirit Fox number 1 were both late-stage yin-yang realm martial artists. Every move they made was extremely powerful, to the point of being terrifying. It could be said that just the shockwaves from their fight were enough to kill an early-stage primal core martial artist. Fortunately, Ning Yu and the others were very strong. They were not afraid of the shockwaves from the fight between the alchemy lord and Spirit Fox number 1. Ning Yu, is that late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist a match for Spirit Fox number 1? Feng Zi was still rather nervous. If Spirit Fox number 1 won, the consequences would be dire. Therefore, Fengzi was looking forward to the Alchemy Lord's victory. It's hard to say. Spirit Fox number 1 is from the Assassination Pavilion. If I'm not wrong, his strength is enough to rank in the top 3 of the Assassination Pavilion. Ning Yu's expression was also somewhat solemn. He said in a low voice, "Let's wait and see for now. The winner and loser is still unknown." Damn it. If I had known this, I would have entered Danwu College with Ning Yu and brought that thing out. Li Tongtian's expression was very ugly as he muttered. "I say, Li Tongtian, what are you mumbling about?" Fengzi patted Li Tongtian's shoulder and asked, "Do you have any special voice transmission method that can communicate with the outside world?" Fengzi did not want to place all his hopes on the Alchemy Lord. He turned his attention to Li Tongtian. Li Tongtian's identity had always been a mystery. Until now, Fengzi still did not know Li Tongtian's background. Voice transmission method? Hearing Fengzi's words, Li Tongtian's eyes lit up. He hurriedly took out a palm-sized golden paper. Voice transmission paper. Li Tongtian had just taken out the golden paper when Ning Yu exclaimed in surprise, "I didn't expect you to have a voice transmission paper." "What's a voice transmission paper?" Fengzi asked doubtfully. "Voice transmission paper, a special type of paper. There are 2 copies." Ning Yu took a deep breath and explained, "As long as you write what you want to say on the paper, then drip your essence blood on it and burn your soul power to burn it, the words will appear on the other piece of voice transmission paper." F*CK, that's amazing. Fengzi almost jumped up. This was the first time he had heard of the so-called voice transmission paper. In that case, he could carry a few copies of voice transmission paper with him in the future. Even if he met with danger, he could call for help. Don't be too naive. Ning Yu's voice rang out at the right time. The method to create a voice transmission paper is extremely complicated. Only a 7th grade pill master and above can create a voice transmission paper without sleep or rest for 49 days. That's right. The most important thing is that the method to create the voice transmission paper has been lost. Every time you use it, you have one less. Li Tongtian continued, "If I hadn't shamelessly asked Master for this voice transmission paper in my hand, he probably wouldn't have given it to me. The method to create the voice transmission paper has been lost." Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat as he exclaimed in surprise. 20 years ago, although the method to create the voice transmission paper was more precious, it could still be bought with a certain amount of crystals. The method to create the voice transmission paper was recorded in the Rebirth Pill Dao book. Moreover, it was a simplified version. One only needed a few hours to create a voice transmission paper. That's right. 10 years ago, the method to create the voice transmission paper was lost. Li Tongtian nodded. He wanted to say something, but his mouth opened slightly and he looked into the distance. Bam! In mid-air, the fists of the Spirit Fox number 1 and the leader of the Alchemy Division collided. Immediately, both of them retreated several feet before they could stabilize themselves. Fart. However, the expression of the leader of the Alchemy Division was much worse. Chapter 500. Unafraid of a fight. I've said it before. You're no match for me. After severely injuring the Alchemist Hall leader, Spirit Fox number 1 said coldly, "I thought it wasn't easy for you to cultivate to the yin-yang late stage, so I wanted to spare your life. However, you don't know what's good for you. I have no choice but to get rid of you. This doesn't make sense. How could the Alchemist Hall leader be defeated so quickly?" Ning Yu's face was filled with shock as he stared at the Alchemist Hall master, who was breathing weakly. His face was filled with extreme shock. The Alchemist Hall leader was the strongest person in the corpse sect. Not only was his cultivation at the peak of the yin-yang late stage, but his soul power was also extremely powerful. Originally, Ning Yu thought that even if the Alchemist Hall leader couldn't kill Spirit Fox number 1, he would at least be able to injure him. However, reality was cruel. The martial artist who was injured in the end was not Spirit Fox number 1, but the Alchemist Hall leader. Ning Yu, the Alchemist Hall leader, was controlled by Yu with 2 inner demon pills. He only has 60% of his peak strength now. Suddenly, Zun Jianwen's voice sounded in Ning Yu's mind, causing Ning Yu to be slightly startled. Only 60% of his peak strength. From the looks of it, losing to Spirit Fox number 1 was understandable. By the way, Ningyu, I'm very interested in your identity now. Spirit Fox number 1, who was about to make a move, stopped and temporarily gave up on killing the Alchemist Hall leader. He turned to Ningyu and said, to be able to make a peak yin-yang late-stage martial artist work for you, you must be the young master of some big family or sect. As one of the top 3 teams in the Assassination Pavilion, the Spirit Fox team had accepted many assassination missions over the years. Moreover, they were all assassinations of people with high statuses. There was no lack of young masters of big sects or big families. However, after accepting so many missions, Spirit Fox number 1 had never encountered a peak yin-yang late-stage martial artist. The one beside Ning Yu was the first. Therefore, Spirit Fox number 1 was more interested in Ning Yu's identity. Come out. Ning Yu couldn't be bothered with Spirit Fox number 1. With a low grunt, he tossed the storage ring on his wrist over his head. Hualala. In the next moment, several figures flashed out from within the storage ring. F***ck, there are actually so many people. Li Tongtian couldn't help but curse when he saw so many cultivators rushing out of the storage ring. He had thought that there would only be one martial artist at the pinnacle of the yin-yang final stage and one martial artist at the intermediate stage of the yin-yang stage in his storage ring. Who would have thought that so many martial artists would appear now? Among these martial artists, other than the late and middle yin-yang stage martial artists, there were 3 early yin-yang stage martial artists and 1 peak primal core martial artist. Moreover, there was a red flying sword and a black dog in front of Ningyu. Ningyu, do you think these small fries are my match? Although Spirit Fox number 1 was extremely shocked, he did not show it. Instead, he said sinisterly, I can even kill a peak late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, let alone these low-level martial artists. Also, at this point, Spirit Fox number 1 paused for a moment before he turned to look at the Dark Emperor. He smiled and said, it's one thing for you to find some people, but why did you find a dog? F***cku. The Dark Emperor had a bad temper. The one thing he could not tolerate the most was people calling him a dog. Hearing Spirit Fox number 1's words, the Dark Emperor cursed out loud. However, the Dark Emperor knew his own limits. He knew that he was no match for Spirit Fox number 1, so he did not take the initiative to attack. It's one thing for a human to be arrogant, but a dog is just as arrogant. Spirit Fox number 1's face darkened instantly. Being insulted by a dog was something that he could not tolerate no matter what. Swoosh. In the next moment, Spirit Fox number 1 dashed out. His body was like a sharp sword as he charged straight at the Dark Emperor. Oh no, Wang Heibo, hurry up and attack. Seeing Spirit Fox number 1 charging at the Dark Emperor, Ningyu's expression changed and he hurriedly said, stop Spirit Fox number 1, at all cost. In the end, Ningyu added another sentence. The Dark Emperor's cultivation was only at the peak of the primal core realm. Although he could fight against a martial artist at the early stage of the yin-yang realm, he would only be able to kill a martial artist at the peak of the advanced stage of the yin-yang realm. Swoosh. Wang Heibo and the rest did not dare to delay and immediately rushed out to block the Dark Emperor. All of you, get out of my way. At this moment, Spirit Fox number 1 was like an enraged bull. He had no intention of slowing down as he clenched his fists and fought with Wang Heibo and the rest. Bang! After all, Spirit Fox number 1 was a martial artist at the peak of the advanced stage of the yin-yang realm. In just one round of battle, he had severely injured Ma Wei, who was at the early stage of the yin-yang realm, and his body was sent flying. Spirit Fox number 1 did not stop after his successful attack. He continued to attack. Ningyu, we can't go on like this. We have to think of a countermeasure. Seeing that Wang Heibo and the rest were gradually losing, Fengzi said anxiously. I do have a countermeasure, but it depends on whether you are compatible or not. Ningyu said in a low voice. Compatible? How can I not be compatible? Fengzi said hurriedly, even if you ask me to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of flames, I will not refuse. I will not ask you to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of flames. Ningyu shook his head and said solemnly, do you still remember Spirit Fox number 5? Spirit Fox number 5? Of course I remember. Fengzi was stunned at first, then said. Whether or not we can seriously injure or even kill Spirit Fox number 1 depends on you. Ningyu whispered in Fengzi's ear. Don't worry, I promise to complete the mission. Hearing Ningyu's whisper, Fengzi's expression became very solemn as he said in a low voice. Li Tongtian, are you interested in exchanging a few blows with Spirit Fox number 1? After instructing Fengzi, Ningyu turned to Li Tongtian and asked. Why not? Li Tongtian was also full of heroic spirit as he shouted. All right. Ningyu glanced at Li Tongtian, then with the red demon sword in his hand, his body turned into a shadow and immediately rushed out. As for Li Tongtian, he reached into his clothes and took out a silver-white flying sword. Sky class. The silver-white flying sword in Li Tongtian's hand had reached the level of sky class. Pa. However, before Ningyu and Li Tongtian could join the battle, they heard two muffled sounds. It was obvious that the remaining two yin-yang initial stage warriors had only been able to withstand one blow from the Spirit Fox number 1 before they were sent flying several feet away. In the short span of a minute, 3 yin-yang early stage martial artists had already been defeated. Now, on Ningyu's side, only Wang Heibo of the intermediate stage of yin-yang, Zun Jianwen of the pinnacle of primal core, Li Tongtian of the pinnacle of primal core, Ningyu of the pinnacle of true martial realm, and the Dark Emperor of the pinnacle of primal core. The Lord of the Alchemy Hall had suffered serious injuries and would take some time to recover. Ningyu, hand over the storage ring in your hand and I can leave your corpse intact. Chapter 501. Trying to capture him alive. You want my storage ring? Let's see if you have what it takes. Hearing Spirit Fox number 1's threatening words, Ningyu snorted coldly and waved the red demon sword in his hand. Solitaire. Following Ningyu's shout, a sword wave as thick as a waist appeared in the air and slashed at Spirit Fox number 1. Kai. The sword wave was so fast that it created a sizzling sound as it rubbed against the air. Hey! The power of the sword wave this time seems to be much stronger than before. Spirit Fox number 1 was slightly surprised when he felt the majestic primordial chi in the sword wave. Compared to the first sword wave, the power of the sword wave this time was much stronger. No wonder. It's the amplification effect of the flying sword in my hand. Suddenly, Spirit Fox number 1 raised his eyebrows. He seemed to have noticed something unusual about the flying sword in Ningyu's hand. The first time Ningyu used solitaire, he used a lower-grade heaven flying sword. This time, he used solitaire and the flying sword he used was at least a higher-grade heaven flying sword. In fact, the red flying sword in Ningyu's hand could be a king-grade flying sword. A king-grade flying sword was a rare treasure even in Spirit Fox number 1's hand. Swoosh. However, while Spirit Fox number 1 was in a daze, the huge sword wave that Ningyu had unleashed had already arrived in front of him and was aimed at his head. Child's play. Spirit Fox number 1 was indeed a martial artist at the peak of the yin-yang realm. He reacted quickly. He made a grabbing motion in the air with his right hand. In an instant, a cold light shot out and collided with Jiyu Jianbo. Boom! A rumbling sound rang out, and then the cold light and the sword wave dissipated in unison. Not bad. This time, the sword wave was able to withstand 20% of my strength. Not bad indeed. Spirit Fox number 1 laughed after the attack. Swoosh. Seeing Ningyu and Spirit Fox number 1 fighting, Li Tongtian did not stay idle. He rose from the ground and infused his primordial chi into the silver-white flying sword in his hand. Then, he charged straight at Spirit Fox number 1. Humph. If a tiger doesn't show its might, you'll think I'm a sick cat. Seeing that Li Tongtian was about to attack him, Spirit Fox number 1's face turned extremely ugly. It was one thing for Ningyu to attack him. After all, Ningyu's strength was clear for all to see. But where did Li Tongtian get his courage from? He only needed to use 20% of his strength to defeat or even kill a mere peak primal core practitioner. Bang! As expected, Li Tongtian's attack was easily dodged by the Spirit Fox number 1. Then, the Spirit Fox number 1 raised its right leg and kicked Li Tongtian's buttocks. The searing pain from his buttocks sent Li Tongtian flying several feet away. He fell flat on his face and fainted. 3 more minutes. Hold on for another 3 minutes. Ning Yu turned to look at Feng Zi, who was already nearing Spirit Fox number 5. He began to communicate with Zun Jianwen and the rest. No matter what, you have to hold on for 3 more minutes. Understood. Ning Yu's words rang in his mind. Zun Jianwen gritted his teeth and charged at Spirit Fox number 1. Bang! However, Zun Jianwen was only a peak primal core practitioner after all. Even though his soul power was at the peak of the 7th grade, he could only withstand 2 blows from Spirit Fox number 1 before being defeated. 30 seconds. Zun Jianwen had used his life to delay for 30 seconds. Following that, Wang Heibo and Spirit Fox number 1 engaged in a fierce battle. Wang Heibo's cultivation was at the middle stage of the yin-yang stage. Compared to Zun Jianwen, he could hold on for a longer time. 1 minute. Wang Heibo held on for a full minute before being defeated. 1.5 minutes left. Up until now, the only people on Ning Yu's side who could still fight were Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor. The rest had all been defeated. Relying solely on Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor to hold on for 2 minutes was too difficult. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Moreover, Spirit Fox number 1 had already noticed Feng Zi's actions not far away. His face darkened completely. He berated in a low voice, "I advise you to release Spirit Fox number 5 immediately. Otherwise, I will turn all of you into ashes." Ha ha ha, you want me to release Spirit Fox number 5? Feng Zi stepped on Spirit Fox number 5's neck with his ankle and laughed. "Kneel down and kowtow to me twice. Maybe I will be merciful and release Spirit Fox number 5. You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. You're courting death." Spirit Fox number 1 clenched his fists tightly. In the next moment, he rose from the ground. His body turned into an afterimage as he charged straight at Feng Zi. "Dark Emperor, go!" Seeing that Spirit Fox number 1 had given up on him and turned to attack Feng Zi, Ning Yu did not dare to delay. He leaped up and blocked Spirit Fox number 1 in midair. "Get out of my way." At this moment, Spirit Fox number 1 was on the verge of exploding with rage. He was in a hurry to save Spirit Fox number 5. Therefore, when he saw Ning Yu blocking in front of him, he immediately threw a punch. At this critical moment, Ning Yu hurriedly channeled all the energy from the 7 illusory golden cores in his sea of consciousness into his fist. It collided with Spirit Fox number 1's fist. Bam! When the 2 fists collided, Ning Yu felt a huge force coming from his fist, causing him to feel a metallic taste in his throat. Fortunately, there were 7 illusory golden cores in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness. Otherwise, Spirit Fox number 1's punch alone would have turned him into ashes. This was because Spirit Fox number 1 had used 80% of his strength. Even so, Ning Yu's body was sent flying and crashed heavily into a towering tree. Crack! The huge tree was almost snapped in half. On the other hand, Ning Yu's face was pale and his breathing had dropped to a freezing point. "If you want to save Spirit Fox number 5, you have to ask for my permission first." At this point, the Dark Emperor knew that he had to step forward. At the very least, he had to block Spirit Fox number 1 for a minute. The Dark Emperor was only at the pinnacle of the primal core stage. If he wanted to block Spirit Fox number 1 for a minute, there was only one way. And that was to transform into his original form, the purple gold heaven swallowing hound. Whoosh! In midair, the Dark Emperor's body suddenly enlarged and a pair of purple gold wings appeared on his back. The king of the heaven swallowing hound tribe, the purple gold heaven swallowing hound. The moment the Dark Emperor transformed into his original form, Spirit Fox number 1 was stunned. After a short moment of shock, Spirit Fox number 1's face lit up with joy. Compared to the purple gold heaven swallowing hound, Spirit Fox number 5's safety was not that important. Capture him alive. In an instant, an idea popped into Spirit Fox number 1's mind. Capture him alive. There was a huge difference in value between a dead and alive purple gold heaven swallowing hound. Accepting this mission was the right choice. As long as I can capture you alive, even if I am the only one left in the Spirit Fox team, it will be worth it. The more Spirit Fox number 1 thought about it, the more excited he became. In the end, he could not help but laugh out loud. Sure. The Dark Emperor did not care if Spirit Fox number 1 was excited or not. His mission was to block Spirit Fox number 1 for a minute. If he could block Spirit Fox number 1 for a minute, that would be the best. Purple Gold Heaven Swallowing Hound, are you going to surrender or do you want me to attack you first? Chapter 502. Explosion. It's not impossible for me to surrender, but you have to at least show some sincerity, right? The Dark Emperor rolled his eyes, spread out his hands and said, I can't possibly surrender just because of your words. If that's the case, I'll lose too much face. Hee, a dog wants to save face. What a joke. Spirit Fox number 1 smiled and said. From Spirit Fox number 1's point of view, the reason why he didn't want to use force was because he was afraid that the Dark Emperor would self-destruct in a moment of desperation. Spirit Fox number 1 knew that the heaven-swallowing dog could self-destruct at any time. He was afraid that if he forced the purple gold heaven-swallowing dog in front of him, it might self-destruct. At that time, he would really go for wool and come home shorn. Not only did he fail to save Spirit Fox number 5, he also failed to capture the purple gold heaven-swallowing dog. However, when he saw that the Dark Emperor had no intention of self-destructing, he relaxed a little and decided to make a move himself, hoping to quickly subdue the Dark Emperor. Swish. Spirit Fox number 1 was not an indecisive person. He attacked as soon as he said he would. In the blink of an eye, he arrived beside the Dark Emperor. His hands were like pincers as he grabbed the pair of purple gold wings on the Dark Emperor's back. Roar. Looking at Spirit Fox number 1 who was approaching him, the Dark Emperor's eyes turned cold. He then opened his mouth and let out a loud roar. How can a mere dog roar stop me? Spirit Fox number 1 seemed to have guessed what the Dark Emperor was going to do. His ears were slightly bent and blocked his ears, preventing him from hearing anything from the outside world. 30 seconds left. Seeing that the roar was useless, the Dark Emperor turned around and ran. As a purple gold heaven-swallowing dog, the Dark Emperor's speed was not slow. The purple gold wings on his back flapped quickly and he pulled away from Spirit Fox number 1 in an instant. Trying to run? It's not that easy. The Dark Emperor did not know how to appreciate favors, causing Spirit Fox number 1 to feel very embarrassed. After all, he had spoken for so long, but in the end, the Dark Emperor treated it like he was farting. Swoosh. After a cold snort, Spirit Fox number 1 raised his speed to the limit and chased after the Dark Emperor. Although the Dark Emperor was very fast, Spirit Fox number 1 was even faster. In just 20 seconds, the Dark Emperor was caught. However, the Dark Emperor had already stopped beside Ningyu. At the same time, he looked at Spirit Fox number 1 provocatively and said, Spirit Fox number 1, don't you feel tired after chasing me for so long? If you're tired, you can stop and rest. Then we'll continue. Humph. You're about to die, yet you still dare to be stubborn. The ignorant are truly fearless. Spirit Fox number 1 was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. How could he possibly stop to rest? After a cold snort, Li Linghu tore through the void and appeared beside the Dark Emperor. She clenched her right fist and punched the Dark Emperor's chest. Spirit Fox number 1 had used 80% of his strength in this punch. It was to subdue the Dark Emperor and prevent any unforeseen events from happening. Looking at the fist that was gradually expanding in his eyes, the Dark Emperor's eyes were filled with shock and despair. However, what the Dark Emperor was worried about did not happen. Instead, a clear and melodious voice, accompanied by a pig-like scream, rang out in his ears. What's going on? The Dark Emperor's eyes moved and finally fixed on the two figures in front of him. In front of him stood two figures. The one closest to him was Ningyu and the other was naturally Spirit Fox number 1. At this moment, Spirit Fox number 1's face was extremely distorted. What surprised the Dark Emperor was not Spirit Fox number 1's distorted face, but his blooded right hand. The branch of the Tree of World is indeed effective. Even someone as strong as Spirit Fox number 1 has suffered. Just as Spirit Fox number 1's fist was about to hit the Dark Emperor, Ningyu remembered that he had the branch of the Tree of World on him. He moved quickly and blocked the fatal blow for the Dark Emperor. Ningyu was not a fool. He knew that he was no match for Spirit Fox number 1. Therefore, he did not take the attack head-on. Instead, he quietly summoned the Tree of World and collided head-on with Spirit Fox number 1's fist. Ningyu was very satisfied with the result. The bones in Spirit Fox number 1's right hand were almost completely broken. It was even more miserable than Wang Heibo's. Ningyu, it's done. At this moment, Fengzi, who was not far away, shouted. Hearing Fengzi's words, Ningyu's face revealed a look of ecstasy. However, Ningyu had not lost his mind. He knew that Spirit Fox number 1 still had extremely strong combat strength. He was just too busy treating the injuries on his palm to care about anything else. Once Spirit Fox number 1 was freed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, Ningyu threw the storage ring into the air and said in a deep voice, "Hurry up and enter the storage ring. Leave the rest to me." Understood. Fengzi and the rest were not fools. They knew that they would not be able to help Ningyu even if they stayed. Therefore, they immediately jumped up and rushed towards the storage ring. In just a few seconds, including Wang Heibo and the Dark Emperor, all the warriors had entered the storage ring to hide. Right now, the only warriors left in this area were Ningyu, Spirit Fox number 1, Spirit Fox number 5, Li Tongtian, who was severely injured and unconscious, and Ouyang Hai and the rest who were dead. Just as the Dark Emperor and the rest entered the storage ring, Ningyu saw Spirit Fox number 1 gritting his teeth, raising his left hand and chopping off his right wrist. Swoosh. When Spirit Fox no. 1 chopped off his wrist, Ningyu did not stay idle. He leaped up and did not even hesitate to burn his blood essence to increase his speed. In an instant, he appeared beside Spirit Fox number 5. Swoosh. Just as Ningyu appeared beside Spirit Fox number 5, Spirit Fox number 1 caught up. Spirit Fox number 1, if you don't want him to die, I advise you not to come over. Ningyu placed the Red Devil sword on Spirit Fox number 5's neck and said coldly, I want you to die. However, Spirit Fox number 1 did not listen to Ningyu's words at all. His face was ferocious as he punched towards Ningyu's head with a violent gust of wind. Spirit Fox number 1's punch was heavy and he used 100% of his strength to kill Ningyu in one blow. At this point, Spirit Fox number 1 had already thought things through. There was no need to hold back anymore. He could only kill Ningyu forcefully. That way, nothing else would happen. Impulsiveness is the devil. This saying is true. However, when Spirit Fox number 1's fist was 30 centimeters away from Ningyu's head, Ningyu's lips curled into a smile and he said, Goodbye, Spirit Fox number 1. This time, I won't. Damn it. Hearing Ningyu's words, the Spirit Fox number 1 chose to ignore him. However, before he could finish his sentence, his expression changed greatly and he revealed a terrified expression once again. This was because he saw Ningyu's palm landing heavily on Spirit Fox number 5's head. Rumble. In the next moment, an earth-shattering explosion resounded in the area. Oh no, it's the self-destruction of an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. At the same time, in a forest not far away, a few martial artists' expressions changed. They instantly increased their speed to the maximum and flew towards Ningyu. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely realize that he was very familiar with one of the martial artists. Chapter 503. Black Pot Rumble. The self-destruction of an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist was extremely powerful. Especially at the center of the explosion, it was so powerful that it was enough to destroy a true martial realm martial artist in an instant. Ningyu wasn't a fool. He naturally wouldn't put himself in danger. Swoosh. The instant Spirit Fox number 5 exploded, Ningyu grabbed Ouyang Hai, who was beside him, and entered his storage ring. Fut. As for Spirit Fox number 1, he was not so lucky. His right hand was already severely injured. Now that he was caught off guard by Spirit Fox number 5's self-destruction, the result was obvious. The aftermath of the explosion hit Spirit Fox number 1, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. His clothes were stained red. Fut. Although Li Tongtian was far away from the center of the explosion, he was still affected. Fortunately, Li Tongtian woke up at the critical moment. He gathered all his primordial qi around his body and set up a primordial qi shield. Otherwise, this shockwave alone would have been enough to kill him in his heavily injured state. Swoosh! When the aftermath of the explosion disappeared, Ningyu grabbed Ouyang Hai and dashed out of the storage ring. Ningyu and Ouyang Hai's clothes were tattered and there were even a few burns on their skin. Spirit Fox number 1, who was breathing weakly not far away, looked similar to Ningyu and Ouyang Hai. Those who did not know the inside story would think that they had experienced the self-destruction of an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. Go! When Ningyu saw Spirit Fox number 1 struggling to even stand up, the corners of his lips curled up. With a flick of his wrist, a trace of soul power shot out and headed straight for Spirit Fox number 1. The Spirit Fox number 1's eyes flashed with terror as it stared at the soul power that was rushing towards it. It wanted to block the attack, but it lacked the strength to do so. Without a doubt, the soul force entered Spirit Fox number 1's sea of consciousness and lay dormant. Phew! After doing all this, Ningyu let out a long breath and murmured, although the space in the storage ring was almost destroyed, the reward was huge. If it weren't for Zun Jianwen and the Dark Emperor supporting the self-destruction of an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, the storage ring would have been shattered long ago. As it turned out, Ningyu's gamble was right. Spirit Fox. Oh no. However, just as Ningyu was about to say something, his expression changed drastically. This was because his keen perception could tell that there were several cultivators rushing over from not too far away from this area. From these cultivators, Ningyu discovered an extremely familiar aura. Since Old Tan is here, then the rest of the martial artists must be from the royal family. Ningyu rolled his eyes. Then, he exerted some force on his ankle and kicked Ouyang Hai to the foot of Spirit Fox number 1. Then, Ningyu's eyes rolled back and he fell backward. Looking at Ouyang Hai at his feet, Spirit Fox number 1's mouth gaped open, his face filled with confusion. Voila! Just as Spirit Fox number 1's face was filled with confusion, several figures approached from afar. In an instant, they appeared in the area. Spirit Fox number 1, hurry up and release the third prince, Old Tan shouted as soon as he appeared. Obviously, Old Tan saw Ouyang Hai at the foot of Spirit Fox number 1. Stop talking nonsense with him. Attack. Next to Old Tan, an elder of late-stage yin-yang realm rushed out with a cold look in his eyes. This late-stage yin-yang realm elder was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he appeared next to Spirit Fox number 1. Bang! Bang! 2 consecutive punches were thrown. One landed on Spirit Fox number 1's chest while the other landed on his head. Spirit Fox number 1 was already severely injured and on the verge of death. Now that he was hit by 2 powerful punches, his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Oh no, the third prince has been killed. After forcing Spirit Fox number 1 to retreat, the elder of late-stage yin-yang realm focused his perception on Ouyang Hai. His face instantly turned gloomy. As a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, he naturally knew that Ouyang Hai could not be more dead. Even if God came, he would not be able to save Ouyang Hai. What? The third prince has been killed. Hearing the words of the late-stage yin-yang realm elder, Old Tan's expression changed and his heart sank. His mission this time was to escort the third prince to Shishan City. Now that the third prince had been killed, he would definitely be held responsible. One could imagine that Ouyang Ba would definitely not let him off when they returned to the capital. Now that things have come to this, there's no turning back. On the other side, a middle-stage yin-yang realm middle-aged man said, the only thing we can do now is to bring Spirit Fox number 1 back to the capital and interrogate the person who issued this mission. Yes, bring Spirit Fox number 1 back to the capital. Hearing the middle-aged man's words, Old Tan seemed to have grasped onto a life-saving straw and said hurriedly, the assassination pavilion has even mobilized the Spirit Fox team. This must be a premeditated murder. There are 2 survivors here. Suddenly, the late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist said, should we finish them off as well? Hearing this, Old Tan shifted his gaze over. It's Ningyu and Li Tongtian. When he saw the 2 familiar figures lying on the ground, Old Tan was slightly stunned and then asked in confusion, why aren't the 2 of them dead? Could this matter be related to them? That shouldn't be possible. The late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist shook his head and pointed at Ningyu. This martial artist's aura is weak and even his consciousness is in a mess. From this, we can see that he was also severely injured in the explosion. He was just lucky that he didn't die on the spot. As for Li Tongtian, he's not much better. Apart from his broken ribs, he has also ruptured several major tendons and veins. If we don't treat him in time, I'm afraid he won't live past tomorrow. WN Jingtian, we have to find someone to take the blame, right? Otherwise, when we meet the emperor, old Tan will definitely suffer. The middle-aged man frowned. That's true. The late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist called WN Jingtian pondered for a moment before saying, "This is a heavy responsibility. I'm afraid one person won't be able to take it. In my opinion, let the two of them take the blame. Even so, I'm afraid that the emperor won't believe me." Old Tan looked worried. "Hehe, with Fang Ming and me speaking up for you, the emperor will definitely believe you." WN Jingtian laughed. "That's right. If we add Spirit Fox No. 1's accusations, then the two of them will have to take the blame even if they don't want to," Fang Ming said sinisterly. "I can't thank you enough. If I can get through this, I'll do anything for you too in the future." Old Tan quickly cupped his fists and said solemnly, "It's still too early to talk about this. The most important thing now is to bring the three of them back to the capital." WN Jingtian waved his hand, then grabbed Spirit Fox No. 1 and Ouyang Hai and flew toward the capital. Behind him, Fang Ming carried Ningyu and followed closely. Chapter 504. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In the forest that was not too dense, a few silhouettes dashed past. In order not to cause any trouble, Old Tan and the rest did not take the main road. Instead, they took a shortcut to the capital. The death of the third prince was a big deal. Without the emperor's permission, Old Tan and the rest did not dare to announce it. Taking a shortcut to the capital was the best choice. "You want me to be the scapegoat?" Not so easy. Ningyu had heard every single word of the conversation between Old Tan, WN Jingtian, and the rest. Ningyu knew very well that Ouyang Ba would be furious when he found out that Ouyang Hai was killed. By then, it was not impossible for him to order Fang Ping to be killed. Luckily, I left a trace of soul force in Spirit Fox No. 1's consciousness. Otherwise, this matter would be tricky and Li Tongtian's injuries would be difficult to deal with. Ningyu rolled his eyes and came up with a plan. After all, Li Tongtian's injuries could not be delayed for long. If it came down to it, Ningyu decided to take action forcefully. No matter what, he could not let Li Tongtian die. After that, Ningyu disguised himself carefully to prevent Fang Ming from noticing anything. After all, Fang Ming was an intermediate yin-yang state martial artist. His perception was extremely strong. If he found out that his injuries were fake, the consequences would be dire. Swoosh. Fang Ming and the rest were very fast. In just an hour, they arrived at the capital. However, it was not the main gate but the side gate. "We'll enter the capital in batches later. I'll bring Spirit Fox No. 1 and Ouyang Hai to meet the emperor first. You guys find a place to rest." At the side gate, WN Jingtian was still more cautious. He said in a deep voice, "Wait for the emperor to calm down before you guys meet him." "Understood," Fang Ming and Old Tan replied in unison. Old Tan, in particular, cast a grateful look at WN Jingtian. One could imagine how furious Ouyang Ba would be when he saw that Ouyang Hai was killed. If Old Tan was here at this moment, he would most likely be in trouble. WN Jingtian's actions were clearly to give Elder Tan some buffer time. To be precise, he had saved his life. "I will communicate with the emperor and tell him that Ningyu and Li Tongtian have already escaped and that I have sent the two of you to hunt them down." WN Jingtian waved his hand and in a flash, he entered the capital. "Old Tan, let's go." Watching WN Jingtian leave, Fang Ming took a step forward, intending to enter the capital. However, Fang Ming hadn't even taken a few steps when Old Tan's voice resounded in his ears. "Fang Ming, I hope you can help me one more time." Elder Tan looked troubled. After hesitating for a while, he said, Li Tongtian can't die. I hope that you can personally join up his meridians. Oh, why must Li Tongtian not die? Fang Ming's brows twitched when he heard Old Tan's words. From Fang Ming's point of view, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian were no different. They were both ordinary genius martial artists. It was just that one of them had reached the pinnacle of the primal core realm, while the other was merely at the pinnacle of the true martial realm. From what Old Tan had said, it seemed like there was more to it than met the eye. Li Tongtian can't die. Old Tan took a deep breath and said, although Ningyu is a core disciple of Danwu College's sacred college, it will be troublesome if he dies, but it won't be too big of a deal. It won't be enough to cause a war between Danwu College and the royal family. Li Tongtian is different. His identity is more special. If he dies in our hands, it will most likely cause a war between the royal family and Danwu College. Gasp. Old Tan's solemn words caused Fang Ming to gasp as he asked, "It's that serious?" Old Tan nodded and said in a low voice, "It is indeed that serious. In fact, it might be even more serious than that. What is Li Tongtian's identity?" At this point, Fang Ming was very curious about Li Tongtian's identity. He has a close relationship with a big shot from Danwu College. After saying this, Old Tan seemed to be afraid that Fang Ming would misunderstand, so he added, "This is all I know." No wonder Li Tongtian was able to scare away Qian Hu, who was in the intermediate stage of Yin-Yang realm, with just a black token back in the palace. Although Ningyu's eyes were tightly shut, he heard the conversation between Old Tan and Fang Ming clearly. Especially when he heard that Li Tongtian's identity was special, Ningyu couldn't help but recall the scene back in the palace. Qian Hu was already furious at first. Who would have thought that Li Tongtian's identity would scare him away with just a token? At that time, Ningyu guessed that Li Tongtian's identity was not simple. Since they want to treat Li Tongtian, I'll wait. Originally, Ningyu had planned to forcefully take action. Now, it seemed like he could wait a little longer. Fang Ming, not only has your cultivation reached the intermediate stage of Yin-Yang realm, but your soul force has also reached the early stage of 7th grade. Just as Ningyu was deep in thought, Old Tan's voice sounded again. As long as you take action, I believe you will be able to treat Li Tongtian in no time. I can only say that I will do my best. A few of Li Tongtian's main tendons and meridians have been severed. If we don't want to leave any side effects, we will need a martial artist whose soul force has reached the peak of 7th grade. Fang Ming said in a low voice, reconnecting the tendons and meridians cannot be sloppy. There are too many people in the capital and it will inevitably attract attention. In my opinion, it's better to leave the capital and find a quiet place with fewer people to help Li Tongtian reconnect his tendons and meridians. What if the emperor summons us? Old Tan was still a little worried. You don't have to worry about this. WN Jingtian said that he sent us to hunt down Ningyu and Li Tongtian. It's reasonable for us to delay our return to the capital, Fang Ming said. The moment he said reasonable, Fang Ming picked up Ningyu, turned around, and dashed into the distance. Old Tan didn't dare to delay. He carried Li Tongtian and followed behind Fang Ming. Sho. After flying for a full hour, Fang Ming and Old Tan finally stopped in a wide open space. Old Tan, put Li Tongtian down. Go and stand guard for me. While I'm treating Li Tongtian, don't let anyone disturb me. Fang Ming casually threw Ningyu to the side and said to Old Tan, I will need about 2 hours. In other words, within these 2 hours, no one, including you, can disturb me. Otherwise, all our efforts will be in vain. Understood. Old Tan knew that Li Tongtian couldn't die. Therefore, after hearing Fang Ming's words, he carefully put Li Tongtian down and went to stand guard at a distance willingly. Whoosh. Although Old Tan was standing guard at a distance, Fang Ming was still a little worried. With a flick of his sleeve, a vigorous wave of Yuan Qi swept out and formed a Yuan Qi barrier around them. The area covered by this Yuan Qi barrier was relatively large, even surrounding Ningyu. Reconnecting the tendons and meridians was a major project. Fang Ming didn't dare to be sloppy. After the Yuan Qi barrier was set up, Fang Ming separated a bit of soul force into Li Tongtian's body and began to examine it carefully. Chapter 505. Who's scheming against whom? Fang Ming's soul power has reached the early 7th grade. He should be able to stabilize Li Tongtian's condition. Ning Yu's eyes turned solemn as he stared at Li Tongtian, who was breathing weakly. Li Tongtian's face turned pale as a few of his main meridians were ruptured. If Li Tongtian had not sealed his meridians with his soul power, he would have died by now. Zun Jianwen, how much longer do you and the leader of the Hall of Alchemy need to recover? With the strength of Fang Ming's soul power, it was almost impossible for him to heal Li Tongtian. Therefore, Ning Yu decided to ask Zun Jianwen and the leader of the Hall of Alchemy for help. However, Zun Jianwen and the leader of the Hall of Alchemy were injured during the battle with Spirit Fox No. 1 and had yet to recover. Half an hour, give us another half an hour. Zun Jianwen replied in the storage ring. Hurry up. Li Tongtian's condition cannot be delayed for too long. Otherwise, there might be repercussions. Ning Yu said in a deep voice. Crack. Meanwhile, in the capital, in the palace, in a certain luxurious room, a clear voice mixed with a gloomy and cold voice resounded. Investigate. We must get to the bottom of this matter. Don't let any suspicious person go. Looking at the familiar figure lying in front of him, Ouyang Ba rose to his feet and smashed the chair he was sitting on into pieces. He said in a cold voice, I'd rather kill 1,000 innocent people than let a single one go. Ouyang Ba was extremely furious at this moment. He did not expect Ouyang Hai to deliver such a grievous news not long after he left the capital. The assassination pavilion really ate a bear's heart and a leopard's gall to actually dare to provoke the emperor. Looking at the dying Spirit Fox No. 1, Ouyang Ba said in a cold voice, Pass down my order. Destroy the assassination pavilion. Your Majesty, you mustn't do that. Hearing Ouyang Ba's words, Wn Jingtian hurriedly said, It's a troubled time now. The corpse sect is eyeing the capital covetously. If we attack the assassination pavilion now, it's very likely that the corpse sect will take advantage of it. Ouyang Ba's face turned gloomy and he remained silent. Seeing that Ouyang Ba did not respond, Wn Jingtian continued, The most important thing now is to find the person who issued the mission in the assassination pavilion. As for the debt with the assassination pavilion, we can settle it slowly in the future. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and investigate. Ouyang Ba berated. Your Majesty, there is some progress in the matter, Wn Jingtian said. All the signs point to 2 people. Who? Ouyang Ba asked. Ning Yu and Li Tongtian. Wn Jingtian replied. The 2 of them. This time, Ouyang Ba did not fly into a rage. Instead, he calmed down. Although Ouyang Ba was enraged, he did not lose his rationality. If someone else had gone to the assassination pavilion to issue a mission, he might have believed it. However, he would never believe that it was Ning Yu and Li Tongtian. After all, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian were smart people. There was no reason for them to go against the royal family. After pondering for a moment, Ouyang Ba said, Pry open Spirit Fox No. 1's mouth. I want to know who issued the mission. Understood. Wn Jingtian had been waiting for this moment. On the way here, he had already discussed it with Spirit Fox No. 1. As long as Spirit Fox No. 1 insisted that it was Ning Yu and Li Tongtian who issued the mission, he would think of a way to save Spirit Fox No. 1's life. Although they had discussed it, they still had to put on an act. Therefore, Wn Jingtian raised his right leg and gave Spirit Fox No. 1 a heavy kick. He then yelled coldly, Spirit Fox No. 1, this is your only chance to live. Tell me who issued the mission. Whoosh. As soon as Wn Jingtian's foot landed on Spirit Fox No. 1's body, Ning Yu, who was in the dense forest outside the capital, had a cold look in his eyes. Me? Trying to frame me? It's not that easy. Ning Yu let out a cold harumph. He then closed his eyes and began to communicate with the soul force in Spirit Fox No. 1's knowledge sea. At this moment, the soul force that Ning Yu had left in Spirit Fox No. 1's knowledge sea was playing a crucial role. This was because it could control Spirit Fox No. 1's thoughts. The severely injured Spirit Fox No. 1's thoughts were no longer under his control. It was completely under Ning Yu's control. You want me to tell you who issued the mission? Fat. Spirit Fox number 1's eyes were filled with malice as he said darkly, "He, you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit." WN Jingtian admired Spirit Fox number 1's acting skills. This was because they had not discussed this beforehand. Since Spirit Fox number 1 was putting in so much effort, WN Jingtian had to cooperate. Crack. However, WN Jingtian's way of cooperating was a little special. He kicked Spirit Fox number 1's knee and broke it. F***CKU. Even if you kill me, I won't tell you who issued the mission. Spirit Fox number 1 did not compromise. Instead, his eyes turned even colder. Do you think I won't dare to kill you? WN Jingtian took a step forward and said darkly. At this moment, WN Jingtian even wanted to give Spirit Fox number 1 a thumbs up. This cooperation was really amazing. The more Spirit Fox number 1 resisted, the more Ouyang Ba would believe him when he mentioned that Ning Yu and Li Tongtian had issued the mission. Spirit Fox number 1, it's fine if you don't tell me. I can send someone to find out who issued the mission. At this moment, Ouyang Ba spoke in a deep voice, I can see that you are a talent. I want to give you a chance to make up for your mistakes. If you continue to be stubborn, I don't mind killing you on the spot. As soon as he said the word kill, Ouyang Ba unleashed his aura and pressed it down on Spirit Fox number 1. Fart. Under the pressure of Ouyang Ba's aura, Spirit Fox number 1 spat out a mouthful of blood. His already pale face turned even paler. Spirit Fox number 1, this is your last chance. Tell me who issued the mission. What the F***CK are you talking about? WN Jingtian's lips curled into an unnoticeable smile. However, before he could finish his sentence, his eyes widened and his face filled with confusion. It was Tai Sheng and Bao Ming who issued the mission at the Assassin Pavilion. Spirit Fox number 1 wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes looked unnatural, but he still said, after that, I sent someone to follow them. In the end, the martial artists who contacted them were Fang Ming and Old Tan. Actually, it was no wonder that WN Jingtian was confused. This was because Spirit Fox number 1's words were completely different from what he had discussed with him. Slander, this is all slander. After a brief moment of confusion, WN Jingtian quickly explained to Ouyang Ba, I swear on my honor that this was not done by Fang Ming and Old Tan. Hihi, you swear on your honor? You're not a good person either. You've known about this for a long time. Spirit Fox number 1 laughed sinisterly. If I'm not mistaken, Fang Ming and Old Tan should have caught up to Ning Yu and Li Tongtian. I'm guessing that they are currently fighting. WN Jingtian, what's going on? Why haven't Old Tan and Fang Ming returned to see me? Chapter 506. Courting Death. Your Majesty, you can't trust the words of the number 1 Spirit Fox. He's slandering me. WN Jingtian had never expected Ning Yu to be controlling the number 1 Spirit Fox. The words of the number 1 Spirit Fox were exactly what Ning Yu wanted to say. Your Majesty, WN Jingtian blurted out. Answer me. Ouyang Ba interrupted WN Jingtian and said coldly. It would have been better if WN Jingtian had not explained himself. As soon as he did, Ouyang Ba became even more suspicious of him. Old Tan and Fang Ming have indeed gone after Ning Yu and the rest. WN Jingtian answered honestly when he saw that Ouyang Ba was enraged. WN Jingtian glared at the number 1 Spirit Fox as he spoke. At that moment, WN Jingtian could not wait to kill the number 1 Spirit Fox right away. He had worked so hard and ended up being bitten by the number 1 Spirit Fox. WN Jingtian was well aware that he could not show any murderous intent at that moment. Otherwise, Ouyang Ba would assume that something was up. Your Majesty, there's something that I'm not sure if I should say. At that instant, the voice of the number 1 Spirit Fox was heard once again, albeit hesitantly. Speak. Ouyang Ba said in a deep voice. The number 1 Spirit Fox is afraid that the truth will be exposed, so he left a stream of soul force in my divine sense in an attempt to control me, the number 1 Spirit Fox said while clenching his teeth. Millimeter? Ouyang Ba raised his eyebrows and discreetly sent a portion of his senses into the number 1 Spirit Fox's divine sense. With a single glance, Ouyang Ba's expression immediately darkened. He had indeed discovered a unique stream of soul force in the number 1 Spirit Fox's divine sense. WN Jingtian, how do you explain the soul force in the number 1 Spirit Fox's divine sense? Although he had discovered the soul force in the number 1 Spirit Fox's divine sense, Ouyang Ba did not make a decision. He wanted to hear WN Jingtian's explanation first. There's my soul force in the number 1 Spirit Fox's divine sense. Why didn't I know about it? WN Jingtian was slightly startled and immediately walked toward the number 1 Spirit Fox. As he approached the number 1 Spirit Fox, WN Jingtian secretly sent a portion of his senses into the number 1 Spirit Fox's divine sense. This is the moment. WN Jingtian had just unleashed his perception when Ningyu, who was in the dense forest, had a cold expression on his face. He controlled his soul power and began to wreak havoc in the Spirit Fox number 1's sea of consciousness. Poochie. Spirit Fox number 1 was already heavily damaged. How could it withstand Ningyu's torment? Without a doubt, Spirit Fox number 1 spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes rolled back and he died. What? The sudden death of the Spirit Fox number 1 caused WN Jingtian's heart to sink. At such an important moment, Spirit Fox number 1 actually died. Your Majesty, WN Jingtian knew very well that Ouyang Ba would definitely suspect him after the death of the spiritual fox number 1, hence he immediately tried to explain himself. Shut up. As expected, before WN Jingtian could finish his words, Ouyang Ba said coldly, before we find out the truth, you'll stay in this room. You're not allowed to go anywhere without my permission. As he spoke, Ouyang Ba carried Ouyang Hai in his arms. After pondering for a moment, he carried Spirit Fox number 1 and flew out of the room. Who can tell me what the F***ck is going on? WN Jingtian felt like his lungs were about to explode as he stared at Ouyang Ba's back. He had been thinking of ways to trick Ningyu and Li Tongtian along the way. Who would have thought that he would be tricked by Spirit Fox number 1 in the end? However, WN Jingtian was not too worried. After all, this matter had nothing to do with him. Ouyang Ba would definitely not be able to find out the truth. However, WN Jingtian did not dare to leave the room. He knew very well that his cultivation level at the advanced stage of Yin-Yang realm was not enough for him to leave the palace. Ningyu had no idea that WN Jingtian was confined to his room. After the death of Spirit Fox number 1, Ningyu had placed all his attention on Li Tongtian. After a period of treatment by Fang Ming, 2 of Li Tongtian's meridians had been reconnected. At this moment, Fang Ming was reconnecting Li Tongtian's 3rd meridian, which was also the most important meridian. If it was successful, Fang Ming would be able to overcome this obstacle. If it failed, Fang Ming would be in grave danger. Fart. The next moment, Li Tongtian spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His aura had dropped to the freezing point. As Fang Ming's soul power was only at the early stage of 7th grade, he had failed at the crucial moment. Whoosh. Since he had failed, Fang Ming waved his hand and removed the Yuan Qi barrier around him. Failed? So quickly? Seeing that Fang Ming had removed the Yuan Qi barrier, Old Tan's figure flashed and he came to Li Tongtian's side. However, after seeing Li Tongtian's pitiful state, Elder Tan's originally excited expression turned into one of astonishment. His mouth gaped open. I've failed. Li Tongtian's main meridian is too difficult to reconnect. With the strength of my soul power, it's very difficult to reconnect it. Fang Ming shook his head and said, if I'm not wrong, Li Tongtian still has an hour to live. In other words, if we can find a martial artist whose soul power is at the peak of 7th grade within this hour, we might be able to save Li Tongtian's life. It took us an hour to get here from the capital. Where do you expect me to find a martial artist whose soul power is at the peak of 7th grade within this hour? Old Tan frowned. Since we can't find one, we might as well kill Li Tongtian and Ningyu. Fang Ming placed his palm on his neck and said coldly. Let me think about it. Killing Ningyu was fine, but killing Li Tongtian was something Old Tan was hesitant about. After all, Li Tongtian's backing was very powerful, so powerful that it was comparable to the ancestors of the royal family. What else is there to think about? Li Tongtian is about to die anyway. We're just helping him out. Fang Ming said viciously, when the time comes, we can push his death onto the Spirit Fox team. Let me think about it. Old Tan was still very worried. Li Tongtian's backing was very powerful. Old Tan was afraid that he would find out, so he did not dare to make a move. Old Tan, when did you become so submissive? Even if you don't kill Li Tongtian, he will still die. You better think carefully. I've already connected 2 of Li Tongtian's meridians. If anyone finds out, neither you nor I will have a good ending. Fang Ming continued, the only thing we can do now is to kill Li Tongtian and dispose of his corpse. Dead men tell no tales. Old Tan took a deep breath and murmured, I guess that's the only way. Swoosh. Hearing Elder Tan's words, Fang Ming raised his right hand and chopped at Li Tongtian's neck. You can only blame yourself for offending someone you shouldn't have. Old Tan's fist carried a violent gust of primal qi as he attacked Ningyu on the other side. To Old Tan and Fang Ming, killing Li Tongtian and Ningyu was perhaps the best and most correct choice. Swoosh. However, just as Old Tan reached Ningyu's side, Ningyu's eyes suddenly opened. At the same time, 3 beams of cold light shot out from the storage ring on Ningyu's wrist. One went for Fang Ming while the other went for Li Tongtian. Chapter 507. White Token. Oh no. Sensing the figure behind him, Fang Ming's expression changed drastically. Without any time to think, he retreated immediately. As a yin-yang intermediate stage martial artist, Fang Ming could naturally sense the cultivation of the martial artist behind him. Pinnacle advanced stage, yin-yang advanced stage. Although Fang Ming was puzzled as to why a pinnacle advanced stage, yin-yang advanced stage martial artist would attack him, he was no fool. He knew that he had to retreat now, or the consequences would be dire. However, Fang Ming's retreat was obviously slower. He had only taken a few steps back when the leader of the alchemy division appeared beside him. A fist brought with it a violent gust of primordial qi as it flew towards Fang Ming's head. The punch was heavy and the primordial qi was exceptionally violent. If Fang Ming was unlucky enough to be hit by it, he would be crippled even if he did not die. Damn it! After cursing under his breath, Fang Ming had no choice but to clench his right fist and collide with the punch of the leader of the alchemy division. Crack! As the 2 fists collided, a crisp sound reverberated throughout the area. The leader of the alchemy division's eyes turned cold and he was about to strike again. Capture him alive. I have something to ask him. Just as the leader of the alchemy division was about to strike again, Ningyu's voice rang in his ears. Slightly taken aback, he immediately changed his attack method. The leader of the alchemy division was a pinnacle advanced stage, yin-yang advanced stage martial artist. If he attacked with all his might, it would not take long for him to kill Fang Ming. Comparatively speaking, capturing Fang Ming alive was more difficult than killing him. The leader of the alchemy division had to change his attack method. Swoosh! On the other side, Zun Jianwen carried Li Tongtian and returned him to the storage ring. Zun Jianwen wanted to help Li Tongtian heal his tendons and meridians. Even though Zun Jianwen's soul power had reached the pinnacle of the 7th grade, it was no exception. Therefore, after Zun Jianwen carried Li Tongtian, he immediately entered the storage ring. Rumble. On the other hand, the Dark Emperor used his killer move, using almost all of his strength in every move. For a moment, he was on par with Elder Tan. Elder Tan had already advanced to the pinnacle advanced stage, yin-yang intermediate stage. It was not easy for the Dark Emperor to be on par with him. Solitaire. A draw was not what Ningyu wanted. What he wanted was to kill Elder Tan. Ningyu did not hold back at all. He immediately brandished the red demon sword and slashed out an astonishing sword wave. Not good. When Elder Tan and the Dark Emperor were fighting, he already felt great pressure. Now that Ningyu had joined the battle, his heart sank to the bottom. Elder Tan was well aware of Ningyu's strength. He had just advanced to the middle stage of Yin-Yang realm, and his cultivation had yet to stabilize. How could he be a match for Ningyu? Kai Kai. At the critical moment, Old Tan forcefully forced the Dark Emperor back, and with a flick of his wrist, a cold light flashed out. The cold light dissipated almost as soon as it collided with the sword wave. Moreover, The sword wave didn't seem to be affected much as it went straight for Elder Tan. Elder Tan blocked Solitaire while shouting at Ningyu, "Ningyu, I'm from the royal family. Aren't you afraid of offending the royal family if you dare to kill me?" "Haha, only you are allowed to kill me, but I'm not allowed to kill you." Ningyu did not take Elder Tan's threat to heart at all. Instead, he smiled and said, "To tell you the truth, I've long known about your and WN Jingtian's plan. The reason why I waited until now is to take you down one by one." In the end, Ningyu paused for a moment before continuing, "Don't worry. After you die, I'll get WN Jingtian to accompany you." "Ningyu, why are you wasting your breath on him?" The Dark Emperor appeared a little impatient as he bellowed, "This place isn't too far from the capital. If we delay any longer, there might be changes." "Understood." Ningyu nodded. Then, he gathered the essence in his sea of consciousness into his fist and charged straight at Elder Tan. This place was indeed a little close to the capital, and the battle between the Alchemist Hall Master and Fang Ming was huge. It would inevitably attract the attention of other experts. Originally, Ningyu wanted to leave Fang Ming alive. But from the looks of it now, it was completely unnecessary. Alchemist Hall Master, there's no need to leave him alive. Just kill Fang Ming directly. Ningyu transmitted his voice to the Alchemist Hall Master as he charged at Elder Tan. "If you guys were to fight me from a distance, perhaps I might be a little apprehensive. Since you're courting death yourself, then don't blame me." Looking at the approaching Ningyu, the corners of Elder Tan's mouth curled up slightly as a sinister smile surfaced on his face. Elder Tan was very confident in the essence in his body. In his opinion, Ningyu was courting death by going head-on with him. However, Elder Tan was obviously thinking too much. How is this possible? When his fist collided with Ningyu's fist, an essence chi undulation that was not weaker than his emanated from Ningyu's fist. Sensing the berserk essence chi undulation contained in Ningyu's fist, even if Elder Tan's cultivation reached middle stage yin-yang realm, his expression changed drastically at this time. He completely did not dare to believe his eyes. The degree of vastness of Ningyu's essence chi was actually not the slightest bit weaker than his. Swoosh. Just as Elder Tan was astonished by Ningyu's vigorous essence chi, the Dark Emperor had already arrived by his side. An enormous tail swept towards his body ruthlessly. The Dark Emperor's tail was like a rope. The instant it came into contact with Elder Tan's body, it wrapped around him tightly. "Goodbye." Seeing the Dark Emperor entangling Elder Tan, Ningyu did not hesitate in the slightest. Wielding the Red Fiend sword, he stabbed straight out. Puff. The sound of a flying sword stabbing into flesh rang out. "Ningyu. You can't." Elder Tan lowered his head and looked at the red flying sword stabbed into his heart area. His mouth opened and closed. Before he finished speaking, he fell to the ground with a thud. At this moment, the middle stage yin-yang realm Elder Tan was directly slain by Ningyu. Poochie. At the same time, on the other side, the Alchemy Master Hall Master immediately launched a powerful attack after receiving Ningyu's order. In the beginning, Fang Ming could still resist a little. But as time passed, Fang Ming finally could not hold on anymore and was punched in the head by the Alchemy Master Hall Master, dying on the spot. Swoosh. After Fang Ming died, the Dark Emperor turned into an afterimage and appeared beside him in an instant. Following that, the Dark Emperor started searching on Fang Ming's body. After a while, the Dark Emperor returned to Ningyu's side. It was just that in his hand, there was a white token. Swoosh. The Dark Emperor casually threw the token to Ningyu, then started searching on Elder Tan's body again. Access token? The few black words on the token attracted Ningyu's attention. Fang Ming's cultivation is at the middle stage yin-yang realm. Since even he needs a token to enter a place, it must be a forbidden ground or a special place. Ningyu frowned slightly and muttered, "If I had known earlier, I would have left one person alive. This way, I can also force out where the token goes." Ningyu, what do you think this is? Chapter 508. News of Danger Black Pearl? Ningyu glanced over and saw a black pearl in the Dark Emperor's hand. The pearl was around the size of half a fist and contained a strong fluctuation of vitality. After receiving the black pearl, Ningyu took a closer look at it. There's a seal on the surface of the pearl. It won't be easy to break it in a short period of time, Ningyu shook his head and said. Ningyu probed the black pearl with his soul energy and discovered that there was a seal on the surface of the pearl. The seal was unique. With the strength of his peak 5th grade soul energy, it would be difficult to break it in a short period of time. It's no longer safe here. Let's head to the capital first. After some thought, Ningyu decided to return to the capital. After all, a huge battle had just taken place here. Not long after, a huge group of experts would arrive. At that time, it would be very difficult for him to escape. What about the two of them? The Dark Emperor pointed at Fang Ming and Old Tan, who were long dead, and asked. That's troublesome. Ningyu said in a deep voice. Fang Ming and Old Tan were from the royal family, and Ouyang Ba already knew that they were after him and Li Tongtian. If the two of them died, Ouyang Ba would immediately suspect him. We might as well go all the way and destroy their corpses, Ningyu said coldly after a moment of silence. Understood. As soon as Ningyu finished his sentence, the Dark Emperor appeared beside Old Tan in a flash. Following that, the Dark Emperor opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of liquid. PST. The liquid was black. As soon as it came into contact with Old Tan's body, he disappeared as if he had evaporated into thin air. Holy shit. I didn't expect you to have such a move. Ningyu was dumbfounded by the Dark Emperor's actions. Since when did the sky-devouring hounds have such an ability? The liquid in their bodies had a strong corrosive effect that could instantly corrode an intermediate-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. PST. Just as Ningyu was shocked, the Dark Emperor appeared beside Fang Ming and spat out a mouthful of black liquid. Fang Ming turned into a puff of gas and evaporated. Go. After a brief moment of shock, Ningyu's eyes turned cold. He immediately leaped up and flew toward the capital. Kid, wait for me. Seeing that Ningyu had left, the Dark Emperor did not dare to delay. He hurriedly turned into an afterimage and followed closely behind Ningyu. After all, the Dark Emperor was the emperor of the heaven-swallowing dog clan. When Ningyu left, his sharp senses discovered that there were several groups of experts rushing over from afar. Even the weakest among them was at the early stage of yin-yang realm. One of them had even reached the peak of yin-yang realm. The Dark Emperor could slightly contend against a martial artist in the middle stage of the yin-yang realm, but against a martial artist at the peak of the late stage of the yin-yang realm, the Dark Emperor could only die. Kacha. Not long after Ningyu and the Dark Emperor left, several void spaces were suddenly torn open, and several martial artists appeared. After these cultivators appeared, they did not greet each other. Instead, they unleashed their perception and carefully explored the area. Voila! A moment later, the surrounding martial artists dispersed, including the martial artist at the peak of the late stage of the yin-yang realm. However, there was an old man standing in midair with a slight frown. There was no fluctuation of primordial chi around the old man, and his slightly turbid eyes shone brightly. It seems like the aura of the heaven-swallowing dog. Interesting, it's getting more and more interesting. Who knows, I might be able to gain something special from this trip to the capital. The Alchemy Union's alchemy competition is in 3 days. I have to go down and prepare. Buzz. As soon as the old man finished speaking, his body gradually became illusory. In the end, he merged with the void and disappeared. Swoosh. At the main entrance of the capital, a figure appeared. Upon closer inspection, the figure was none other than Ningyu. After tidying up his clothes, Ningyu strode towards the capital. The Dark Emperor did not follow behind Ningyu. Instead, he entered the storage ring. Since the third prince Ouyang Hai was killed, the imperial family would definitely send experts to patrol the capital. If the Dark Emperor appeared in the capital again, it would be very dangerous. Ningyu did not want to take this unnecessary risk. After entering the capital, Ningyu did not immediately return to Danwu College. Instead, he found a random restaurant and sat down. Special times called for special treatment. Ningyu wanted to first understand the situation in the capital. Restaurants had always been crowded with people, so it was the easiest place to obtain gossip. Have you heard? The mysterious force in Shuiyu Pavilion has spread the word that Lu Wei has to return to Shuiyu Pavilion by tomorrow night. If not, her parents will be killed. As expected, just as Ningyu sat down, he heard a few burly men chatting at the next table. The one who spoke was an early primal core stage man. He sighed and said, Shuiyu Pavilion used to be the top force in the capital. Who would have thought that in such a short period of time, it would decline to such an extent that even its headquarters had been taken? That's right. Beside the burly man, a bearded man said regretfully, Lu Wei was originally the daughter of Shuiyu Pavilion. Now that Shuiyu Pavilion is in such a decline, and her parents are under the control of others, her days will not be easy. Even if it's not easy, she has to. I heard that Lu Wei is in Danwu College. If it were me, I would definitely not return to Shuiyu Pavilion. After all, where there's life, there's hope, another mid-primal core stage warrior said. Things are not that simple, the early primal core stage warrior said. The burly man at the early stage of the primal core realm said, this is a matter of life and death for the family. If Lu Xuan flinched, he will be reviled by everyone. Cursed is better than dying in battle, the bearded man said. Oh yes, who are the people in Shuiyu Pavilion? You know, Lu Wei is in Danwu College. Are they not afraid of offending Danwu College by doing this? The mid-primal core stage warrior suddenly asked. Haha, you think too much. The early primal core stage warrior laughed and said, I have received news that Lu Wei was only placed in Danwu College by Ningyu. She has nothing to do with Danwu College. I see, but I don't know if Ningyu will show up, the bearded man said. Now that things have come to this, Ningyu will not be able to help. The early primal core stage warrior looked around and said in a low voice, I heard that among the mysterious people in Shuiyu Pavilion, there are 2 late yin-yang stage warriors. Hiss. Hearing the words of the early primal core stage warrior, the other 2 warriors could not help but gasp. 2 late-stage yin-yang realm martial artists. This force was truly terrifying. Crack. Just as these big men were discussing, a catcher sound rang out. Then, a cultivator rushed out of the restaurant. Who is he? The early primal core stage warrior asked. I'm not sure. He seems to be at the peak of the true martial realm, the bearded man said doubtfully. The peak of the true martial realm, could it be Ningyu? Chapter 509. To turn nothingness into reality. Whoosh. The few men in the restaurant had guessed correctly. The martial artist who had rushed out of the restaurant was indeed Ningyu. After leaving the restaurant, Ningyu rushed to Danwu College without stopping. Lu Wei's cultivation was only at the Xiantian realm. How could they let her return to Snow Domain Pavilion to face that mysterious force alone? There was only death awaiting them. Ningyu would never allow it. Hence, Ningyu's speed was very fast. He wanted to return to the Danwu Academy at the first moment to stop Lu Ni. Whoosh. However, after flying for a while, Ningyu stopped. No, I can't go back now. Ningyu's expression was slightly solemn. Although he could stop Lu Wei from returning to Danwu College, this matter was likely to leave a scar in Lu Wei's heart. In the future, it would be very difficult for Lu Wei to make any further progress on the path of cultivation. After thinking for a while, Ningyu decided to go to the Snow Pavilion to find out what kind of people were inside. Ningyu didn't immediately go to the Snow Domain Pavilion. After all, according to the big men, there were at least 2 yin-yang late-stage martial artists in the Snow Domain Pavilion. Tomorrow night was the appointed time between the mysterious force and Lu Wei, so Ningyu still had a lot of time. Ningyu decided to personally refine the essence transformation pill and then attempt to break through to the origin core realm. If he advanced to the origin core realm, Ningyu could even withstand a few moves from a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. Without hesitation, Ningyu immediately turned into a medicinal herb store and bought 10 sets of medicinal herbs to refine the vitality transformation pill. After buying the herbs, Ningyu strolled around the capital a few times and bought a slightly higher quality alchemy furnace. After doing all this, Ningyu made sure that no one was following him before entering an inn. Ningyu set up a barrier around the room, then took out the 10 sets of Huiyuan Dan's medicinal ingredients and placed them on the ground. I wonder if this cauldron can last until I finish concocting all 10 cauldrons of origin transformation pills. Ningyu casually threw the cauldron into the air, grabbed a medicinal ingredient with his left hand and threw it into the cauldron. The origin transformation pill was a peak grade 5 medicinal pill. There was a special characteristic when refining it, and that was that the temperature required was very high, very high. It was very difficult for an ordinary pill furnace to last until the pill was formed. The quality of the pill furnace Ningyu bought was not bad, but Ningyu was still a little worried. After all, he was refining a transcendent grade yuan transformation pill, and the temperature required was even higher. Kai. As soon as the pill was thrown into the furnace, a blue flame appeared on the fingertip of Ningyu's right hand, constantly burning the bottom of the furnace. As the temperature at the bottom of the cauldron continued to rise, the first medicinal herb was quickly burned away, turning into a drop of crystal-clear liquid. The success of the first step caused Ningyu to heave a sigh of relief. A good start was half the battle. Following that, Ningyu grabbed another medicinal herb and threw it into the cauldron. This time, the time taken for the medicinal herb to be refined was clearly much faster. In just 10 seconds, the medicinal herb was refined into a drop of liquid. Voila! The first 2 medicinal herbs were just a test for Ningyu. Following that, he increased the speed at which he threw the medicinal herbs into the cauldron. Basically, every 10 seconds, he would throw a medicinal herb into the cauldron. Kai. The sound of kai could be heard incessantly. Drop after drop of liquid was quickly refined and stuck to the sides of the cauldron. Go! After about 10 minutes, Ningyu let out a low shout. Then, the soul force in his body rushed into the cauldron and began the second round of refining the liquid. This time, Ningyu was very attentive. Because it concerned the final quality of the pill, Ningyu had no choice but to be extremely careful. After another 10 minutes, Ningyu withdrew his soul force from the cauldron. At the same time, the azure spiritual fire on Ningyu's fingertip burned even brighter as he worked hard to raise the temperature of the cauldron. Time passed minute by minute. Ningyu did not dare to have the slightest bit of carelessness. He did not even bother to wipe the beads of sweat that had formed on his forehead. Rise! After another 10 minutes, Ningyu's right hand slapped the cauldron fiercely. The lid of the cauldron was lifted in an instant. Then, a round white medicinal pill burst out from the cauldron. Ningyu's eyes and hands were sharp. In an instant, he caught the white medicinal pill in his hand. Supreme Grade Energy Transformation Pill? Looking at the white medicinal pill lying on his palm, Ningyu was slightly disappointed. Forget it. It's better than nothing. Let's hope that the next 9 batches can produce Supreme Grade Energy Transformation Pills. Ningyu found a jade bottle and stored the Supreme Grade Energy Transformation Pill inside. He then threw it to the side and started to refine the second cauldron of essence transformation pills. If Ningyu's actions were seen by outsiders, even if it was a Tier 6 alchemist, they would have the impulse to beat him up. Although the essence transformation pill was only a peak Tier 5 medicinal pill, ordinary Tier 6 alchemists did not dare to say that they could refine it with 100% success rate. It would be incredible if they could succeed once out of 10 batches. But Ningyu refined a supreme grade energy transformation pill on his first batch and was still not satisfied. Swish! The first batch of essence transformation pills allowed Ningyu to have a very deep understanding of cauldrons. Hence, for the second batch of essence transformation pills, Ningyu obviously increased his speed. Originally, he needed 30 minutes to form the pill. This time, Ningyu used 20 minutes to refine the essence transformation pill. Supreme Grade Energy Transformation Pill. Without a doubt, for the second batch of essence transformation pills, Ningyu refined a Supreme Grade 1. With the first batch of Supreme Grade Energy Transformation pills, there was a second batch, a third batch. Due to the refinement speed becoming increasingly faster, the last 8 batches of essence transformation pills, Ningyu used 2 hours to refine all of them. Furthermore, all of them were Supreme Grade Energy Transformation pills. Crack! When the last batch of essence transformation pills was formed, the pill furnace that Ningyu purchased also shattered with a loud bang. The shattering of the pill furnace did not arouse too much of Ningyu's attention. Because the current him was adjusting his mental state, planning on consuming medicinal pills to assault the origin core realm, Ningyu spent 2 hours to adjust his mental state to the peak. Shortly after, he grabbed a transcendent-grade essence transformation pill and directly threw it into his mouth. Buzz. When the medicinal pill entered his stomach, Ningyu only felt a surge of scorching heat wreaking havoc in his body, as if his entire body was being scorched by a blazing fire. The scorching heat merely lasted for a moment, then disappeared. Following the disappearance of the scorching heat, a surge of terrifying energy poured into Ningyu's sea of consciousness, fusing together with a virtual image of a golden core. Bang! The instant the two fused together, a muffled sound rang out, and then Ningyu's mouth slightly opened. Because he discovered that the virtual image of a golden core in his sea of consciousness had actually turned from illusion to reality, transforming into a real golden core. The virtual image of a golden core transforming into a real golden core was not frightening. What was frightening was that Ningyu was still at the peak of the true martial realm, and did not have the slightest intention of advancing to the origin core realm. Possessing a physical golden core, yet having a cultivation at the peak of the true martial realm, Ningyu might be the first person in history to do so. Don't tell me that I have to transform the remaining 6 virtual golden cores into physical golden cores in order to break through to the origin core realm? Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes revealed a look of disbelief. Chapter 510. Chapter 510 OFTWLD. The ultimate realm. An illusory golden core was not the same as a physical golden core. The two could not be mentioned in the same breath. To Ningyu, as long as he could have 7 physical golden cores in the primal core realm, he could even compete with a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. To be able to compete with a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist while still in the primal core realm, even Ningyu had not seen such a powerful martial artist in his previous life. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu had a serious look in his eyes. Then, Ningyu took out another Supreme Yuan transformation pill and popped it into his mouth. This time, Ningyu did not wait for the Yuan transformation pill to merge with the illusory golden core. Instead, he initiated the spiritual transformation method and began to refine the pill. Boom! After about 3 minutes, a dull sound was heard. Without a doubt, another illusory golden core in Ningyu's consciousness had turned into a physical golden core. 2 Supreme Yuan transformation pills had turned 2 illusory golden cores into physical golden cores, which gave Ningyu a huge boost. Next, Ningyu continued to swallow Yuan transformation pills, and the illusory golden cores in his consciousness also continued to turn into physical golden cores. Boom boom boom. Not long after, the 7 illusory golden cores in Ningyu's consciousness had all turned into physical golden cores. Boom. The moment the last illusory golden core turned into a physical golden core, an earth-shattering sound rang out in the room. After that, a monstrous imposing aura surged out from Ningyu's body and charged out. Crack, crack. This aura hit the enchantment around the room and directly shattered it. Swoosh. In the next moment, the aura suddenly disappeared. Ningyu's eyes opened abruptly, and there was a faint look of shock on his face. Mid-primal core realm. At this moment, Ningyu had not only advanced from the peak of the true martial realm to the primal core realm, but he had also directly surpassed the early primal core realm and soared to the mid-primal core realm. Although the mid-primal core stage was not considered very high in the capital, it was enough for Ningyu. Now that his cultivation had advanced to the mid-primal core stage, coupled with his 7 golden essences, Ningyu could even kill a late yin-yang stage martial artist. Supreme 9 Purities Sword Technique. Ningyu was not overwhelmed by the increase in his cultivation. On the contrary, he was very calm. The next moment, he drew out the red demon sword and decided to cultivate the 6th form of the 9 Purities Supreme Sword Technique, Solitaire. Solitaire had 4 realms: initial success, middle success, great success, and ultimate. Right now, Ningyu had only cultivated Solitaire to the great accomplishment realm. If he could cultivate it to the ultimate realm, his trip to Snow Domain Pavilion would be much safer. Kai. After experiencing so many things, Ningyu had a deeper understanding of Solitaire. He waved the red demon sword in his hand continuously, and waves of sword energy flew out, forming a sword wave array in the air. After advancing to the mid-primal core stage, the density of the yuan qi in Ningyu's consciousness had become very frightening. Originally, he could only use solitaire a few times, but now he could use it without restraint, and he did not have to worry about running out of yuan qi. No, if I continue to cultivate like this, it is almost impossible to cultivate solitaire to the ultimate realm. After a while, Ningyu stopped. The power of solitaire at the great accomplishment realm was already very frightening. Logically speaking, the ultimate realm solitaire. That's right. Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something. He raised his eyebrows and immediately waved the red demon sword in his hand. At the same time, a steady stream of yuan qi flowed through Ningyu's wrist and into the red demon sword. Buzz buzz. As yuan qi continued to flow into the sword, the red demon sword made a slight vibrating sound. Go! With a low shout from Ningyu, an extremely powerful wave of sword energy appeared in the air. Swoosh! As soon as the wave of sword energy appeared, a figure rushed out from the storage ring on Ningyu's wrist and came into direct contact with the wave of sword energy. F***CK. The figure that rushed out from the storage ring was none other than the Dark Emperor. Ningyu, what the hell are you doing? The Dark Emperor could not help but curse as he looked at the wave of sword energy that was approaching him and the violent yuan qi that it contained. However, the Dark Emperor used a secret technique to block the wave of sword energy as he growled. Bang! Although the Dark Emperor had already used all his strength to block it, he had still underestimated the power of the wave of sword energy. Without a doubt, when the wave of sword energy collided with the Dark Emperor's body, it sent him flying. Not bad. Ningyu nodded in satisfaction as he stared at the Dark Emperor who had fallen flat on his face. Hearing Ningyu's words, the Dark Emperor gritted his teeth and said, Ningyu, if you don't give me an explanation today, I won't let you off. Just a moment ago, the Dark Emperor received a message from Ningyu, saying that there was a great opportunity for him. Hearing that there was an opportunity, the Dark Emperor naturally flew out of the storage ring without hesitation. Who would have thought that Ningyu would make a fool out of him? Dark Emperor, how's the power of my move? Ningyu did not care about the Dark Emperor's complaints and asked. How's the power? The Dark Emperor's expression was terrible as he berated, even I almost failed. How can it be weak? However, what Ningyu said next left the Dark Emperor dumbfounded. He had the urge to slap Ningyu. I'm relieved to hear that. To tell you the truth, this is only 30% of its power. When Ningyu said that, the Dark Emperor opened his mouth and wanted to say something. However, when he saw Ningyu's serious look, he swallowed his words. The Dark Emperor had seen this move of Ningyu's before. Compared to before, the power of the sword wave today was clearly much stronger. Could it really be as Ningyu had said, that he had only used 30% of its power? Dark Emperor, make a trip to the Snow Domain Pavilion. Right at this moment, Ningyu put away the red demon sword and dashed out of the room in a flash. Behind Ningyu, the Dark Emperor pondered for a moment before following closely. The Dark Emperor was rather worried about this trip to the Snow Domain Pavilion. The Dark Emperor had heard the conversation between the burly men in the inn clearly and had a rough idea of the strength of the mysterious men in the Snow Domain Pavilion. Although Ningyu had advanced to mid-stage primordial core realm and the power of his sword wave was strong, the most important thing was that the alchemy master was treating Li Tongtian with Zun Jianwen. In other words, the two of them could not help much at this moment. He had to rely on himself and Ningyu for everything. That's right, there should be the red demon as well. Just like outside the capital, in order not to expose the Dark Emperor, Ningyu sent the Dark Emperor into his storage ring the moment they left the inn. The Snow Domain Pavilion was extremely dangerous and keeping the Dark Emperor in his storage ring would serve as a trump card. Given the Dark Emperor's strength, he might be able to pose a threat to late-stage yin-yang realm cultivators if he caught them off guard. The Snow Domain Pavilion was not too far from the inn that Ningyu was staying at. Therefore, it did not take long for Ningyu to arrive at the Snow Domain Pavilion. Chapter 511. Hiding. Ningyu had chosen a good place to hide. He could easily watch the people entering and exiting the Snow Pavilion, and he could also hide himself well. After all, There were many yin-yang stage warriors in the snow pavilion, and if Ningyu were to barge in now, the situation would be very dangerous. Choosing to wait here might be the best choice. After about half an hour, an early primal core warrior walked out of the snow pavilion, looked left and right, and then flew off into the distance. Looking at the departing warrior, Ningyu frowned slightly, but did not move. After another half an hour, this time, 2 late primal core warriors walked out of the snow pavilion. Ningyu remained where he was, not moving. In the next 2 to 3 hours, there were no less than 10 warriors going in and out of the main entrance of the snow pavilion. However, these warriors did not attract much of Ningyu's attention, and he continued to wait tirelessly. Swish! Suddenly, a warrior in a black robe attracted Ningyu's attention. Early primal core stage? Ningyu sensed something unusual about the warrior in the black robe. Although the warrior in the black robe only seemed to be in the early primal core stage, based on Ningyu's years of experience, the warrior in the black robe should not be lower than the yin-yang stay. After a moment's thought, Ningyu moved his feet and carefully followed behind the warrior in the black robe. Ningyu followed very carefully, concealing his entire aura, afraid of being discovered by the warrior in the black robe. The warrior in the black robe did not seem to notice Ningyu. He first circled the capital, then left. "What are you doing outside the capital?" Ningyu hesitated for a second, then gritted his teeth and followed closely. After all, he had already followed for so long. If he did not follow, it would not be right. Furthermore, the warrior in the black robe was perhaps the only way to understand the internal situation of the snow pavilion, and Ningyu did not want to give up such a great opportunity. Swish! Outside the capital, the black-robed cultivator's speed was very fast. In almost an instant, he had already traversed several dozen feet. Judging from his speed, his cultivation should be between early stage and mid-stage yin-yang realm. Ningyu frowned slightly as he looked at the black-robed cultivator in front of him. The black-robed martial artist's speed was indeed very fast. Even though Ningyu had advanced to the middle primal core stage, he could only follow behind him. Voila! However, just as Ningyu was pondering the black-robed cultivator's identity, the black-robed cultivator's body froze in midair. Seeing the black-robed cultivator stop, Ningyu hurriedly stopped and hid under the nearest tree. "You've followed me for so long, can you come out now?" The black-robed cultivator looked in the direction of Ningyu before saying, "A little primal core child is quite bold." Whoosh! Since he had already been discovered by the black-robed cultivator, Ningyu simply walked out from behind the giant tree. Seeing Ningyu come out, the black-robed cultivator sized up Ningyu. While the black-robed cultivator was sizing up Ningyu, Ningyu was also sizing up the black-robed cultivator. Late-stage yin-yang realm cultivation. Feeling the powerful aura emanating from the black-robed cultivator, Ningyu's eyes narrowed and revealed a serious expression. Late-stage yin-yang realm martial artists were very strong. With Ningyu's current strength, although he could contend against them, if the other party wanted to leave, Ningyu would not be able to do anything. Moreover, late-stage yin-yang realm martial artists were not to be trifled with. If they had a few more powerful trump cards, the person who would fail today would probably be Ningyu. To be able to cultivate to the mid-stage Yuan Dan stage at such a young age, you are indeed not simple. The black-robed cultivator stared at Ningyu as an evil smile formed on his lips. "Tell me who ordered you to follow me, and I can leave your corpse intact." In the black-robed cultivator's opinion, no matter how bold a mid-stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist was, he would not dare to follow him. Unless, this mid-stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist was ordered by a strong practitioner to follow him. Upon hearing the black-robed cultivator's words, Ningyu's eyes turned, before he calmly said, "If I tell you who the martial artist behind me is, can you spare my life?" "Haha, in this world, no one has ever dared to bargain with me." The black-robed cultivator smiled slightly, then changed the topic as he coldly said, "Because those who dared to bargain with me have all died at my hand. If that's the case, I can be considered lucky to still be alive after bargaining with you." Ningyu shrugged his shoulders and said, "To tell you the truth, the martial artist behind me is very powerful. It's Wan Jingtian. Late yin-yang stage cultivation. Wan Jingtian." As Ningyu finished speaking, the black-robed cultivator's eyes revealed a vicious look. At the same time, he could not help but clench his fists. Actually, when Ningyu had said those words, he had been paying attention to the black-robed cultivator's movements. When he saw the expression on the black-robed cultivator's face, as well as his tightly clenched fists, Ningyu knew that the black-robed cultivator definitely knew Wen Jingtian. It seemed like they did not have a good relationship. What proof do you have that you are a martial artist sent by Wen Jingtian? Taking a deep breath, the black-robed cultivator said in a low voice. The black-robed cultivator was not stupid. Naturally, he would not listen to Ningyu's one-sided words. Without absolute proof, he would definitely not believe Ningyu's words. This is the best proof. His eyes turning, Ningyu took out the white token he had obtained from Fang Ming and waved it in his hand. The entry token. Seeing the white token in Ningyu's hand, the black-robed cultivator's face completely darkened. Wen Jingtian actually gave you something as important as the entry token. It seems like you are right. The black-robed cultivator said coldly, the entry token is such an important thing. It is a complete waste to leave it with you. I will temporarily take care of it for you. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, the black-robed cultivator waved his hands in front of him, tore through the void, and entered. In the next instant, the black-robed cultivator appeared beside Ningyu. His right hand quickly shot out and grabbed the white token in Ningyu's hand. I knew you would do this. The black-robed cultivator's sudden attack was completely within Ningyu's expectations. However, Ningyu did not have the slightest bit of carelessness. After all, the black-robed cultivator was at the late yin-yang stage. A slight carelessness could lead to unpredictable danger. Solitaire. To Ningyu, it was fine when he did not attack, but when he attacked, it was a killing move. The essence energy in his sea of consciousness surged wildly into the red demon sword. In the next moment, a shocking sword wave separated from the red demon sword and slashed at the black-robed cultivator. Damn it! The black-robed cultivator had not expected Ningyu to suddenly attack him. Furthermore, Ningyu's move was so powerful that he had to retreat immediately. However, in order to obtain the white token, the black-robed cultivator was very close to Ningyu. Trying to dodge Solitaire at such a close distance was harder than ascending to heaven. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.